If you've ever spotted an eagle's nest, a baby eagle, and then the mom flying around, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We're back for the biggest week of earnings this earnings season. We also have a Fed meeting shoved in there. It's going to be a big one. There's going to be lots to do here this week. Hopefully, we get some volume back in this market so we're out of this low volume period. It's great to see everybody. I hope that you all are rested and had a wonderful weekend. Strap in because this week is going to be a big one. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for July 27th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you're able to get some rest over the weekend because it looks like we're going to have a busy one here this week, and it should be all week as we start with earnings. I'll go ahead and get the earnings graphic loaded here, and we'll show you on screen as we go through the morning here. Every day is going to have something big, and then, of course, we have a Fed meeting on top of all of that. So markets should respond. Plus, as if it wasn't enough, we got news that maybe the conflict is ending again over the weekend. We'll see. But all of that stuff going on and affecting the market here. Let's get the welcomes ready. Richard is first here today. Richard says, review from CNBC this morning and then nothing. Richard, I'm curious what you even meant by that. I think our reviews personally are a little bit better than CNBC, but I might be biased. Just throwing it out there. Nonetheless, good morning and congrats on being first. Let's have a week. Midge94 became a Zinger Nation member. Let's go. Let's go. More folks in the Zinger Nation. Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend as well. EKS, I know you had a great weekend because you're always smiling here. You're always happy here. Crude getting absolutely blasted right back down. It did feel heavy while we were kind of trading up last week, conflicts or the tensions are rising in the conflict, this and that, more tax, blah, 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 up $1 here, up $1 there, up 1% here. And then as soon as we get any type of good news, minus 8%, minus 7%. In fact, oil sitting minus 6.68%, so just shy of 7% here. We'll see if that's able to hold up throughout the rest of the week here. Patji, good afternoon. Welcome back. Hopefully all is well in Belgium for you. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. EKS went on to add utilities still looking to potentially test the 52-week highs. We'll see if we get that here this week. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. How was the rest of your birthday weekend extravaganza? I must know. Hopefully you celebrated heartily. Zach McCracken, good morning. And to the Benzi gang, looks like a breather. I don't know what a breather means. It's going to be busy. I don't know how much time we're going to have to sit around and breathe. We'll see. Good morning, Zach. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Peter, good morning. Jay Wild, good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Harlugo, who's ready to trade these incredible 2-cent candles? Yeah, we're going to be looking for something more than the 2-cent candles. But if you're able to make some money off that and stay profitable, Godspeed. Godspeed. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. Producer, locked in, ready to go. We missed you on Friday. Glad to have you back today, that's for sure. Brett, good morning. Welcome back. Cynthia, good morning. Welcome back. Liam, it's always good to see you. Good morning. Kelly, good morning. Welcome back. Always good to see you as well. Chuck, good morning. Brian, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Durkis and Nikhil, good morning. Jason, good morning. God bless your family. Man, you too. You too. Thanks for the positivity. Whisk, good morning. It's always good to see you. Unpopular Truth, good morning. Double B, Double B. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's clever. Good morning and welcome. Jeff, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. We got together. Good morning. Dara, good morning. I see my K. Good Monday morning. Yes, they are. Around here, us traders, we like Mondays. We like Mondays. Richard said it didn't fit in the chat. I sent it to you via email. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll let you know. Remember M1. Okay, I think I read the 1 as an I and then did Midge 94. That's probably what happened. M1 is what we'll go with. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. Just passing through. Good morning. Robot to Trade. Good morning. Jala, good morning. Kelly's asking, did you enjoy the lake? Did I ever, Kelly? Did I ever enjoy that lake? It's been a while since I've been on a boat. We cruised around. We fished. We saw the eagle. We saw the eagle nest. The weather was perfect. It was relaxing. Didn't get sunburn because I was responsible and remembered sunscreen. I mean, it's just normally, you can nitpick a little bit, find something wrong. Oh, the lake's too crowded. Oh, the wave. No. Everything was wonderful. So we definitely enjoyed that. We're rested and ready to go. Big week here this week. Joe, good morning. Welcome back. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Good morning. See how excited I am? Let's get some more coffee right now. Hoot, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, green arrows across the board ahead of Monday's open here on the back of the news of the conflict maybe settling down in the Middle East. S&P futures higher by 0.89%, Dow futures up by 1.1%, and the Nasdaq leading the way higher, positive 1.44%. Also worth noting, oil, big hit, down 6.38%. We'll see how much of these gains and losses end up holding here. But in the meantime, let's take a look at some cues from last session, as well as where we may go here today. Consumer staples, real estate, and material stocks led Friday's gains, while information technology shares fell, leaving the U.S. markets mixed as the Dow rose over 200 points and chips dragged the Nasdaq down. U.S. stock futures were rising on Monday as the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ indices all advanced following Friday's mixed close and saw an oil pullback. Over the weekend, the U.S. suspended its 13-night airstrike campaign against Iran to allow diplomacy and assess munition stocks. In response, a senior Iranian official confirmed Tehran would also halt retaliatory strikes as long as the U.S. pause continues. Investors are preparing for a critical week as four Mag 7 heavyweights, Meta, ticker META, Microsoft, ticker MSFT, Amazon, ticker AMZN, and Apple, ticker AAPL, all report quarterly results alongside a federal open market committee, or the FOMC, interest rate decision on Wednesday, presided over by Chair Kevin Warsh. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.64%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.3%. CME Group's FedWatch tool projections show that the markets are pricing a 68.5% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current interest rates unchanged during July's meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today ahead of the big earnings week. The first one's going to be Microchip Technology. Your ticker on this one is MCHP, and it was 2.24% higher in the pre-market on Monday after it reported that it signed an agreement to acquire Halio. The next stock on our list is going to be Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD. It was 3.03% higher, continuing its positive momentum last week following an analyst day where it announced a large-scale Anthropic and OpenAI partnerships, new data center projects, and said that it expects the AI accelerator market to reach $1.4 trillion by 2030. The next stock on our list is going to be Safety Insurance Group. The ticker is SAFT, and it was 1.14% lower after the company announced Mapfire will acquire it on Friday. The next stock on our list is going to be Celastica, ticker CLS. It was 2.53% higher as analysts expect it to post quarterly earnings of $2.30 per share on revenue of $4.39 billion. The last stock on our list is going to be Nucor. The ticker is NUE. It was up 1.37% as analysts expect it to post quarterly earnings of $4.38 per share on revenue of $10.14 billion. All right. Good morning, Corey, and anyone else that I missed. Neville, Barb, Richard, Vaughn. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you back here. Yes, that girl. Hey, Ryan, the B-Day weekend was filled with family time and relaxation in the garden. Let's go. That sounds like a good birthday weekend to me. Sounds like a good birthday weekend to me. All right, let's check out the SPY chart here and see where we're at. I know we've been talking a lot about just kind of trading sideways and what are we actually getting done other than like these back and forth movements, which is making swing trading very, very difficult unless you have a very specific name. Well, guess what? We're right back to the old shenanigans after last Friday's candle that looked like we were going to go ahead and test some lower levels here. I'm sure there was some de-risking ahead of the weekend, but now we're up just about 1%, just shy of 1% here. And the SPY is actually sitting at 745.40. Well, when we look at the SPY chart, the 50-day moving average is 744.75, and the 20-day moving average is 746.97. Now, we've been oscillating between or around these moving averages for some time. They're basically stacked on top of each other. For a while, we were trading in between them, and now somehow, despite them being so close in proximity, we have popped into the middle of that. We are literally beneath the 20 and above the 50. We are still above the 740 level. We also identified 748 as being a key level, so if we get any type of extension on our move higher here this morning, 748 is likely going to be a resistance area, so we'll see if we can clear that out. One of the other things that we had said about the 748 area is that we really have trouble breaking this area in the regular session. In fact, it seems that we gap above or gap below this area in the overnight sessions, and then the market just kind of hangs in there. So something else to keep in mind here. But I'll be honest, went away for a weekend. We've been doing this for several weeks now. Not a whole lot is different on the SPY chart. With the big earnings this week, with the FOMC, might we finally see a bit of a change here? That's one of the things that we're going to be looking at all of this week. Now, really quickly, before we get to some insights from analysts here, I had promised you that we were going to take a look at the earnings graphic and kind of get a lay of the land for the earnings this week. And here it is. And as you can see, we are basically out of slots on this one. We did have some earnings this morning. Booz Allen Hamilton and AstraZeneca, it looks like they reported here. And then tonight we have Nucor, AMKR, FFIV, we have CNDS, we have Rambus, RMBS. So we have a couple, but then they really start tomorrow, and they start tomorrow in the morning. Coke, Boeing, and PayPal. You could throw JetBlue on there as well, maybe Corning in there as well. And then tomorrow afternoon, we get Visa, Mondelez, Waste Management, Ford, STX, one of our memory names, NXPI, a chip name. So we're going to have plenty going by Tuesday at the close. On Wednesday, we've got some reports here in the morning. Not really sure how big those are going to be. I guess we'll keep an eye on General Dynamics there, ticker GD. But in the afternoon, strap in, folks. Microsoft, Meta, Qualcomm, Starbucks, Lam Research, ARM, EA, Robinhood. I mean, it just keeps going. On Thursday in the morning, we have MasterCard. We also have Bud Thursday morning. And then after the close, we got Big Mama. Apple is going to be reporting, ticker AAPL, Amazon, AMZN on Thursday as well. Also, Coinbase. I know several of you that trade Robinhood and are into cryptocurrency, watching the Clarity Act, all of that. Coinbase is going to report. We'll see what they do or what they say. And then guess what? Just in case the Middle East stuff kicks up again, we're going to have earnings from some of the oil names on Friday morning. So normally we get a reprieve on Friday. Not this week, folks. Just too busy this week. So lots of stuff going on. We're going to have no shortage of things to talk about. We're going to have no shortage of things to trade. I know earnings trades, not the most popular trades around here, but with earnings season really kicking into high gear, I'm curious to hear from any of you if you have any trades lined up outside of the long-term investments for any of these companies. So we can talk about that all week. Now, in the meantime, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here, and let's start with our friend Mohamed El-Erian. Mohamed El-Erian highlights a complex, quote, two-speed economy in the U.S., where the services sector shows resilience while manufacturing faces persistent headwinds. He emphasizes that the current landscape is defined by, quote, cross currents currently affecting the global economy and markets, as well as the still elusive search for endpoints on key issues, end quote. Good way to sum that up there. Geopolitical frictions and supply chain disruptions are reigniting inflationary pressures, creating a tug of war between investors who want to brush aside risks and those remaining cautious. Furthermore, heavy capital expenditure in the technology sector is driving up debt issuance, which pushes long-term yields higher. Regarding Federal Reserve policy, El-Erian expects the central bank to keep interest rates steady and avoid, quote, premature tightening, which could over-adjust the economy, end quote, while staying cautious of second-round inflation risks. This is where I fit in. I think it's going to be a pause this week. He noted that determining a clear policy trajectory remains difficult, as, quote, defining the ultimate landing zone for policy will seem like a moving target, requiring open-mindedness and optionality, end quote. Meanwhile, the U.S. equity markets face ongoing pressure, particularly in tech, as investors scrutinize heavy AI capital expenditures for clear signs of ultimate profitability. And that's really what we have to watch here. In fact, Robert, you had sent me a little breakdown here this morning. Here it is. This is basically what we're talking about. So we'll go ahead and use this. I appreciate you. What to watch out for? Hyperscaler CapEx cuts. Is demand dropping or is efficiency increasing? So in other words, are customers not looking to spend as much? That would be the demand side. That would be negative. But if customers are and we're spending less, that means we're getting more efficient. And that would be bullish for the AI trade. So that is going to be a key kind of theme, no matter what the report is on any of these earnings companies this week that are looking to report and are connected to the AI industry. We're going to be paying quite a bit of attention to their CapEx. Okay, next, some news over the weekend. Jim Chanos is saying that NVIDIA is effectively financing its own chip sales in the reported OpenAI deal. And we've talked a lot about this. We'll see what's going on here. Famed short seller Jim Chanos publicly criticized NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, following reports that the tech titan is in talks to guarantee $250 billion in financing for an OpenAI data center project. calling out the chip maker for effectively bankrolling, quote, roughly 2/3 of the cost, end quote, of its own hardware sales. Reports suggest that NVIDIA is discussing providing a massive $250 billion financial backstop to help OpenAI lease a 10-gigawatt AI data center in southern Ohio. Developed by SoftBank's energy subsidiary, the mega project is expected to cost more than $500 billion in total. The proposed guarantee covers data center lease and debt financing, while NVIDIA is separately negotiating up to $350 billion in funding for OpenAI's direct chip purchases. Chanos took to social media platform X to highlight the circular nature of the potential arrangement, writing, quote, "So we're at the point in the cycle where NVIDIA has to provide financing guarantees for roughly 2/3 of the cost of the chips it's selling to the data center project. Lol. Okay." End quote. Chanos is not the sole prominent investor raising red flags over AI debt structures. Big Short investor Michael Burry echoed similar skepticism, writing on X, quote, "Around and around we go. NVIDIA to guarantee $200 billion of ChatGPT spending on NVIDIA chips," end quote. Meanwhile, tech commentator Ed Zitron characterized the proposed deal as, quote, "about as bearish as it gets," end quote, questioning the long-term feasibility of the capital requirements. For OpenAI, the prospective deal represents a major shift forward in controlling its own infrastructure rather than relying on leases from cloud giants like Microsoft, MSFT, Amazon, AMZN, and Google's parent Alphabet, ticker GOOG. However, critics argue that resorting to vendor financing guarantees to secure future demand, and that signals growing financial circularity as global spending on artificial intelligence and infrastructure approaches $700 billion this year. So is it circular funding? Do you agree with Jim Chanos? Are you worried about this whole thing? I guess perhaps most importantly, are you worried that this is all a house of cards that's all going to come falling down in a catastrophic thing? Or is it going to be more of the slow move and rotation? You'll have to let me know what you think on all of that. All right, Joe saying, Ryan, if you or a techie guest could give your opinion on this, I'd appreciate it. Can cloud computing replace IBM-style mainframes in the near future, say 5 to 10 years? Well, I'll give you my right off the top here without even really thinking about it a lot. I would say no. I would say no, it's not. Can cloud computing replace IBM's mainframe in the near future? I don't think so. I think that right now, one of the things that we're seeing with some of the AI models is obviously we have data centers that are going to do a lot of the compute and processing for you. But there's also people talking about running some of these models locally and not using a lot of the data centers. Obviously, training is still going to have to be done and inference is still going to have to be done. But no, I think there's going to be space for both of these. And I also think that you know, IBM especially has been viewed kind of as a legacy tech and maybe older style tech. I don't think so. I think that they're still heavily involved and they're still at the forefront in a lot of things. So I would say my knee-jerk reaction on the surface there is no. Well, we'll see how it shakes out. I've been wrong before, and I will be wrong again. There's no doubt about that. Okay, let's get back to the news here. AI was supposed to shrink workforces. Remember that? Remember, oh, they're coming. They took our jobs. They're going to come and take everyone's job, the whole 9 yards. All the podcasts were talking about that. Oh, my God, we're going to need universal basic income. What's actually happening? Employers are saying they need more people. LOL. That's just how it goes sometimes. Some of America's biggest companies are beginning to hire again after months of limiting headcount amid economic uncertainty and expectations that artificial intelligence could handle more work, according to a Wall Street Journal report that was published yesterday on Sunday. The Wall Street Journal reported that companies including CSX Corporation, which is ticker CSX, Alphabet, ticker GOOG and GOOGL, and Booz Allen Hamilton, ticker BAH, and others have recently signaled plans to add workers as they pursue growth and emerging technologies. Booz Allen Chief Operating Officer Christine Martin Anderson said the government contractor needs to pick up hiring after cutting thousands of jobs last year. Quote, "We actually need to accelerate hiring a bit. We're a little bit behind right now." End quote. She went on to say, quote, "We're addressing that right now." End quote. Alphabet Chief Financial Officer Anat Anashkazi said Google's parent expects to continue hiring in key areas, including AI and cloud computing. CSX expects its train and engine service headcount to, quote, increase modestly, end quote, while Snap-on, ticker SNA, also plans to add employees. The shift is also reaching junior roles. Lattice CEO Sarah Franklin said some companies stopped hiring entry-level workers because they expected AI agents to take over more tasks, but are now realizing people are still needed alongside AI. Who said that? God, who kept saying that around here? It baffles me. I can't remember what handsome gentleman kept saying that. Quote, just because you have coding agents doesn't mean you're not hiring engineers, end quote. She added that companies increasingly want younger workers with native AI skills, saying, quote, there's a big thirst for that, end quote. God, that same gentleman said you really need to get on board with AI and learn how to use it, not fight it. Who was that, chat? The change comes after research from the Harvard Business School and INSEAD found native or AI native startups were about 25% smaller than comparable companies and employed about 15% fewer entry-level workers and managers, while their share of senior workers was roughly 20% higher. The broader labor market may also be facing a worker supply problem. Indeed, Hiring Lab economist Laura Ulrich has said baby boomer retirements and lower immigration could shrink the U.S. labor force, arguing that demographics remain a bigger force than AI in shaping labor availability. Amazon, ticker AMZN, their founder Jeff Bezos has offered an even stronger view, arguing that AI could eventually create a labor shortage by making people more productive and allowing businesses to produce more ideas, products, and industries. The hiring rebound remains selective rather than a broad hiring boom. Robert Half Incorporated, ticker RHI, their CEO M. Keith Waddle said AI's effect on employment is proving, quote, more benign than some have feared, end quote, while MIT professor emeritus Paul Osterman cautioned that companies still do not know whether AI will ultimately leave them needing more or fewer workers. Well, gosh, folks, we're going to have to see how this one shakes out. We really are. AI is great, and y'all don't need me to tell you. I'm sure you use it in multiple different ways of your life. But the reality is AI is not going to solve your problems. It may make you more productive. It may allow you to learn things that you couldn't learn before. You may be able to do things like code software that you weren't able to do before. But ultimately, that link between AI and humans is going to be key. And the notion that we're just going to be able to throw humans aside seems a bit premature. All right, next story here. This one's going to be on SpaceX. I know we've got some green arrows here. We've lightened a little bit from the early morning, so we're off some of the pre-market highs, but we're still in the green across all of the industries. SpaceX, however, down several points. Relative weakness, one might say, with SpaceX. Now, as SpaceX crashes 51% from its mania peak, market strategists warn this could tank SpaceX stock further. Great companies can still be bad investments. And indeed, that has to do with where your entry is, right? We've been talking about SpaceX since before it IPO'd, about how crazy this company could be, how bright the future is, all of these things. Don't bet against Elon. Look what happened to Tesla, blah, all these things over and over again. Yet it can still make a bad investment if you end up buying too high. And we're going to be patient and wait for when it bottoms out and gives us a more appreciable price. SpaceX, ticker SPCX, has plummeted 50.87% from its June 16th high of 225.64 to its July 23 low, and market strategist Charlie Bellio warns the bleeding isn't over. With 911 million shares eligible for insider sale on August 6th, the impending lockup expiration threatens to overwhelm the market and sink shares further. The initial retail buying frenzy that temporarily drove SpaceX to a $3 trillion valuation was violently reversed. Who could have called that? The stock recently bottomed at $110.85 on Thursday, July 23rd, last week, breaking well below its $135 IPO price and its $161 first day close. Retail investors who chased the stock are now suffering steep losses. Quote, SpaceX is suffering the same fate as many major IPOs before it, in a euphoric debut, unrealistic expectations, and a painful reality check. And that came from Bellio. And I don't know if you folks remember, but remember who that guy was? Again, I can't remember his name, who was showing you the chart of the IPO process and how there's always that bump right away, and then it falls off, and then it bases, and then we have the real move. Remember that guy that showed that tweet that day? Yeah, probably not. We do everything we can to prepare you around here, folks. Addressing those who believe the aerospace company would defy historical trends, he stated in his market broadcast, quote, "A lot of people said, no, Charlie, this time it's different." Well, it's not different, end quote. Way to go, Charlie. The next major structural test for SpaceX arrives just 2 days after its August 4th earnings report. On August 6th, the initial lockup period expires, freeing 911 million shares for early private investors to sell. Because SpaceX grew from a $10 billion private company a decade ago to a $1 trillion entity today, insiders sit on massive unrealized gains. Quote, "There's definitely going to be some selling pressure," end quote. That again was from Charlie Bellio, and he cautioned, emphasizing the ongoing risks of staggering share releases driving the stock throughout the coming months. Someone else on this show, two of us actually, said the same thing over and over and over again. The severe 51% drawdown impacts more than just everyday portfolios. Elon Musk recently lost his brief status as the world's first trillionaire, joking online about his new former trillionaire title. Well, at least he has a sense of humor about it. What can I say? Additionally, Alphabet, ticker GOOG, which relied heavily on unrealized SpaceX equity markups to post a record $112 billion net income last quarter, will see a massive chunk of those earnings evaporate if the stock fails to recover. Bellio's ultimate lesson to the market is simple, quote, "Great companies can still be bad investments at the wrong price," end quote. So I got a couple of takeaways from here. And aside from the smart-ass victory laps that I've been taking here this morning, aside from that, it's okay. It's okay to be patient. And I've said a number of times recently, the market is a mechanism for moving money from the impatient to the patient. And that's what we're going to try and be here. And the entire space theme had this halo effect. We traded it. We made money off of it. We're all guilty of participating in it. But now that SpaceX is out here, it seems that the new paradigm here is for us to be patient. Let's wait this out. Let's wait till it gets to some of those prices. Zach now giving you a wide range here, 45 to 80. I don't know if it's going to get down to 45, but if it goes to 80, I'll be adding down there for sure. We'll probably start adding at 90. We'll see what the lockups do here. We'll see how that affects it. Remember, there's a staggered lockup with a bunch of different milestones. We'll see how that trades down here, but it's going to be okay. There will be a time to add this where the investment will be fantastic. We think, we hope anyway. Okay, next story here. This is going to be Ross Gerber. He says, don't bet against SpaceX. Ross Gerber says, quote, "Do not bet against SpaceX," end quote, and it urges investors to remember the early Tesla volatility. Now, I will say this. I sometimes joke at Ross's expense, but he's absolutely right about what he just said here. Tesla, for the longest time, extremely volatile. I mean, extremely volatile. A lot of concerns. Can it make money? It loses money. The cars are junk. Is it real? Are they going to hit deliveries? I mean, you name it. That stock had it all. And look where it is here today. So Ross is actually making a really, really good point here. Let's see what he has to say about SpaceX. Investor Ross Gerber on Saturday urged investors not to, quote, bet against Elon Musk's led commercial space flight giant Space Exploration Technologies, or SPCX SpaceX, despite its recent decline to below its IPO price. In a post on X, the Gerber Kawasaki co-founder said that, quote, "People should learn their lessons from the early Tesla days," end quote. And he pointed to Tesla's volatility during the initial weeks following the IPO. Quote, "They are doing incredible things, and one must think very big to understand their goals," end quote. However, he acknowledged valuation concerns with the company. Quote, "Valuations, blah, blah. Yeah, it's true," end quote. He said that, but added that it was irrelevant to what the incredible company is doing. The news comes as SpaceX shares declined sharply in recent weeks, with the Musk-led Tesla, ticker TSLA, also recording sharp declines. The stock of both enterprises tumbling has had a direct impact on Musk's own wealth, with his net worth falling below $1 trillion. Whatever is he going to do? I don't know. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Musk's current net worth is around $719 billion. Notably, at its highest, Musk's net worth was approximately $1.3 trillion, vastly exceeding the market capitalizations of many established businesses. Meanwhile, the SpaceX CEO recently said that establishing a lasting human presence on Mars could help shield humanity from lethal outbreaks and pandemics from a hostile artificial intelligences. Quote, since it takes 6 months to reach Mars, there is an automatic 6-month quarantine, end quote. The billionaire said in a recent social media post. The company had earlier put its Mars ambitions on the back burner in favor of targeting missions to the lunar surface, which is, of course, in line with NASA's Artemis missions. So what do you think? Do we make it? Do we make it to Mars? Yes? No? Is SpaceX the one that's going to deliver? You will have to let me know. You will have to let me know. Okay. Now, some more news here. Forget the hyperscalers. Fund manager flags 2 lesser-known AI stocks whose earnings surprises show that the AI trade is not, in fact, dead. Now, I found this really interesting because we have a whole lot of the big companies that we talk about. We have the hyperscalers coming as well. We have a lot of AI-connected stocks that are going to report earnings, but this article here outlining 2, maybe 1, but 2 stocks that show that it's still going on. As concerns around hyperscaler capital expenditure ripple through tech markets, beyond the giant mega cap names, 2 lesser AI infrastructure stocks, Sterling Infrastructure, ticker STRL. And by the way, before I advance here, I must point out that our friend and colleague Tim Melvin has been recommending Sterling Infrastructure since it was a single-digit stock years ago. He still holds it in the portfolio. Now they're saying that this infrastructure stock is going to prove that the AI trade is still going. So hats off to Tim for an absolute banger of a recommendation there. In addition to Sterling, SiTime Corporation, or ticker SITM, are dominating earnings expectations with multi-quarter streaks of double and triple-digit EPS beats alongside frequent upward guidance revisions. Brandon Nelson, a fund manager who manages the Calamos Tipani Small Cap Growth Fund, ticker CTSIX, is up 47.16% over the last 12 months. He rejects fears that the trade is dead, noting he sells when he sees fundamental fatigue. Quote, we've been in the price momentum pullback, and there's a lot of doomers out there that think it's the beginning of the end, end quote. He told this to Business Insider. He went on to say, I'm not sure I'm there yet. The fundamental momentum of most of these AI infrastructure names is still very strong. CT6 closed 2.3% lower on Friday. It was down 8.65% over the last month and up 22.6% year to date. Preparing land for data center construction, Sterling is CT6's third largest holding, weighted at 3.18%. The company's stock has risen 161.57% over the past 12 months. Quote, someone's got to clear the trees and make everything flat and build roads around what's going to be a data center, end quote. Nelson went on to say, quote, these guys are the biggest company in the U.S. that does that. Pause right here real quick, because on my way up to the lake house, my buddy, whose house it was, informed us that right coming up here on the left is one of the biggest data centers in the area. And indeed, there is I swear the plot of land is almost 2 miles. I mean, it is a giant area, and they are doing a ton of work. Now, there are some buildings up in some of the area, but the rest of the area is being worked on, pre-clearing, land leveling, the whole 9 yards. So the infrastructure trade, which again, we've been talking about for several months now, is absolutely intact here. I actually got to see one of these projects ongoing with my own eyes this past weekend. As per Benzinga Pro earnings data, this validates the bullish stance on Sterling. Sterling posted a first quarter 2026 earnings surprise, delivering a 359 EPS against a 217 estimate, which was a 65.4% beat, while revenue surged 39.8% to $825.68 million. Between August 2022 and May of 2026, Sterling raised its guidance outlook 14 times. 14 times. Closed 7.86% lower on Friday at 660.94, and it's down 23.79% over the past month, but up 115.8% year to date. Manufacturing silicon timing semiconductor chips, SITM is CT6's fourth largest holding, weighted at 3.09%. Shares of SiTime have gained 186.37% over the last 12 months. Quote, most electronic devices need this technology, end quote. Nelson went on to say they've got fast growth and they're really good at managing expectations. And these are, in fact, huge markets. Proprietary Benzinga Pro data demonstrates SiTime's repeated crushing expectations. In the first quarter of 2026, SiTime reported an EPS of 144 versus a 97% estimate. That's a 48.4% surprise following a massive 155.9% EPS surprise in the third quarter of 2025. SITM closed 3.81% lower on Friday, and it was down 19.93% over the last month, but still up 56.99% year to date. So let me know if you like any of those. Let me know especially if you were able to catch a huge winner on Tim Melvin's Sterling Construction, because like I said, that one, we talk about good trades, home runs. That one was a grand slam. I mean, that was just an absolute grand slam. Okay, how are we doing on time here? Oh, we are in really good shape. All right, now, just like there was talk about AI taking everyone's job and everything like that, there was also talk about a potential 4-day work week because of AI. Sam Altman's not having any of that. Sam Altman shuts down hopes of an AI-led 4-day work week anytime soon, saying competition drives the economy. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said AI will boost productivity but won't lead to a widespread 4-day work week because people always find additional tasks to do. That's true. Happens to me all the time. Speaking to Ty Morse on his Relentless podcast on Saturday, Altman said AI is unlikely to bring shorter work weeks, arguing that despite technology's long-standing promise of more leisure time, people continue to find new ways to work and stay productive. Altman said technology has improved quality of life and given people more leisure time over the years. Still, it has never delivered the long-promised mass shift to drastically shorter work weeks. And he says, quote, and I don't expect AI to change that, end quote. The CEO said people constantly raise their ambitions and compare themselves with others. So higher productivity leads to new goals rather than less work. Quote, we always want more. We think of new things to do, to create for each other, and to want for ourselves. It's like a relative game, end quote. Altman also said that competition drives the economy and will continue to do so. Altman's latest views on the 4-day work week are in sharp contrast to his earlier stance. Sam Altman, in an open letter in April, urged companies to use AI-driven productivity gains to experiment with shorter work weeks without cutting pay, improve worker benefits, strengthen healthcare and retirement support, and turn efficiency into lasting time off. Besides Altman, several industry leaders have advocated for an AI-led reduced work week. While former White House communications director and Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci, or the Mooch, believes AI will transform work by reducing work weeks to 3 or 4 days while maintaining productivity rather than causing widespread job losses. He argues AI will give people more time for recreation, increase the value of human interaction, and create new careers centered on empathy, presence, and other uniquely human skills, including roles that many do not resemble traditional jobs. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon also said AI could eventually reduce the work week to 4 or even 3.5 days over the next 30 to 40 years as productivity rises. Dimon also predicted AI could drive breakthroughs in healthcare, food safety, and transportation, but warned that automation may displace some jobs, urging companies and governments to invest in reskilling and education reforms. And again, as far as Dimon goes there, I'm with him on that. We got to teach people how to rethink about work and school while we're on the subject there. Should definitely be trying to do something that you feel into. And it doesn't feel less like work. You have this natural motivation there. And I think giving people the right skills are going to help them understand that and perhaps find some of these happy places. All right. Let's see, I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of what you folks were talking about here. I'm sorry about that. Let me know if there was anything crucial there that I missed. Okay, last story here. I know I'm blowing you guys away with news here on Monday, but like I said, it's going to be a busy week. And then we can take a look at charts. I'm especially curious to hear what you folks think about some of these earnings plays here today. So let's get this last news story out of the way, and then we'll also do street tweets. Then we'll just do ticker time until pre-market pulse. Oh, we also have an all access here today. So as busy as things are going to get, I actually left something off the docket. That's how busy it actually is. All right. This story is going to be on Apple, which reports on Thursday. Apple, ticker AAPL, stock rose in Monday's pre-market trading as investor sentiment improved ahead of the opening bell. Nasdaq futures climbed 1.6%, while the S&P futures gained 0.97%. Apple's early gains largely tracked with the broader rally in the U.S. equity futures, with other mega-cap technology stocks also moving higher. The stock is trading near a key resistance level around its recent highs, and that makes even modest gains meaningful for short-term traders. Investors are also positioning ahead of Apple's quarterly earnings report later this week, Thursday after hours. As a result, trading could remain sensitive around key technical levels until the results are released. Apple's artificial intelligence strategy is also drawing increased attention ahead of its earnings report. Unlike Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft, Apple is not spending heavily on AI infrastructure or developing large foundation models. Instead, the company is leaning on its large install base of consumer devices to deliver AI features. Evercore ISI analyst Amit Daryani told CNBC on Friday that Apple appears to view foundation models as less critical to long-term differentiation. That approach allows the company to avoid the heavy capital spending seen across hyperscaler group while preserving greater flexibility to return cash to shareholders. Needham analyst Laura Martin told CNBC on Saturday that Apple has chosen to position itself as the primary gateway between consumers and AI services rather than building its own foundation model. Despite Android's larger global market share, she said Apple is making a high-stakes wager it can succeed without developing its own large AI models. According to Martin, that strategy could either generate exceptional long-term returns if it proves successful or pose a significant existential risk to the company if it fails. She added that she believes Apple has made the wrong choice. The key question for investors is whether Apple Intelligence can drive a new hardware upgrade cycle. The analyst pointed to faster iPhone replacement rates and improving demand in China as important metrics to watch. Now, we also talked really quickly about, Apple, it's not spending all of this. What happens if the model it uses ends up being one of the popular ones, one of the great ones, and then the features that you actually use on the Apple device are notable and people love? Oh man, if that happens, there's another leg higher here for Apple, and that seems hard to believe. Apple is scheduled to report quarterly results on Thursday, July 30th, and Wall Street expects earnings of $189 per share, up from $157 per share a year earlier. Revenue is projected to reach $108.86 billion compared with the $94.04 billion in the prior year quarter. Stock trades at 40.3 times earnings, which indeed reflects a premium valuation. So let me know what you think here on Apple. This to me seems to be the most I guess, relevant one to take a look at the chart. Hang on just one sec. Let me go back to Benzinga Pro here. All right, here we have Apple. Now, what's interesting, we drew this trend line somewhat recently, and we said to ourselves, well, maybe if things really kind of turn around, it'll be able to touch that trend line. Well, we were kind of moving lower here, right? We broke this to the downside. We really couldn't capture the 20. We bounced hard off of a breakout trend line, a previous breakout trend line, excuse me. We ripped through several moving averages. And this, to my eye, I mean, we are right at a resistance area here. But gosh, folks, it sure looks like Apple wants to take this and move this higher. And without the worry about some of the CapEx there at Apple, maybe you get a little more people to pile into this ahead of its earnings. Part of me wonders if we're going to see a run into earnings here. The other part of me wonders if we see a run into earnings, is it going to be close enough to drive this up towards the trend line and provide a really, really nice resistance area prior to the earnings report? If that's the case, maybe it sells off a little bit on earnings. Anyway, again, very curious to see where you folks fit on all of this. And if you have, a long-term view on Apple, this probably doesn't matter, to be quite honest with you. But if you're trading for the earnings, this is all that's going to matter, unfortunately. Cynthia saying, what happens if the phone is $3,000 to $4,000 and on and on? And then a clown car. Are you calling me a clown for that? Anyway, so first of all, what I would say with the Apple phone, they do a really good job of having many different models of phone. So one, I think that offsets some of the high-end prices here. I think what you're referring to is the increase in prices due to the memory. And remember, it's only the really high-end models that are seeing that increase or the substantial increase. So I would say, at least early on, Cynthia, that also coupled with the different phone providers allowing you to finance the phone for a monthly cost and then roll it into your bill, I have a hard time believing that that's going to be kind of a big blocker to all of this early on. I still think that they're going to do well with the phone. And that's even if they don't have like a great AI feature. If they release a great AI feature with their new model, or if they upgrade Siri to do, or Apple Intelligence to do something that, we just can't see yet, that ends up being extremely popular and extremely sought after, I mean, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. I've heard a number of times over the course of my career, the Apple's not selling as many phones. The phone is too expensive. The phone is the same as it always is. And yet Apple keeps marching higher. So to me, until I see it the other way, I'm still bullish on Apple. The fundamental story here is completely intact. I actually think John Turnus is going to do a good job as the CEO. So to me, and remember, that was the other thing, Apple's earnings, this is the last one for Tim Cook on top of that. So I don't know. I think the stock's actually going to do well, long and strong here for an investment purpose. Nothing specific for the earnings trade. But this is what we're looking at with the chart. Upside there going to be the trend line. Downside there, probably the 50. I don't see it selling off, but we shall see. Chris says, I wouldn't worry about high-end sales. Apple could charge whatever they want. Most people buying these high-end phones don't care about cost and love having the latest and best iPhone. Indeed. And when we spend so much time looking at this device, it does so many things for us. I spent this last weekend disconnected from technology. And then I think back carefully, and I'm like, actually, no, I didn't. We used internet up there that came through our phones. I used my camera up there to take pictures of the scenic view that I was in. Used the phone. I asked questions. We were just talking about things. I asked AI questions. Used the phone. Used Spotify for the entertainment in the car. Used Google Maps or Waze for the directions and navigation. So to me, it's just they're so incorporated here. Chris makes a really good point. The high end here doesn't care about the price increase. And again, even for the middle and lower ends, you can finance these devices. So even if you want to buy the biggest and best and you want to do that often, there are financing options. You don't necessarily have to shell out the big $2,000 to $3,000 chunk. But On the other side, definitely something to watch. Okay. We'll do ticker time here. Let's go ahead and do street tweets right now. All right, this one comes from the Kobisi letter. Now, we talked a little bit about this. We talked, I think, a little bit more about Jim Chanos's reaction here. NVIDIA is in talks with OpenAI to guarantee $250 billion in financing for a data center in Ohio. Okay. The details include the guarantee from NVIDIA would help OpenAI lease a 10 gigawatt project that SoftBank is developing in Ohio. In total, that project could cost more than $500 billion. So that price tag can just double there real quick. The largest data center project ever announced. The power for the project is controlled by the U.S. government and funded separately by Japan under a recent trade deal, And Commerce Secretary Lutnick is reportedly involved in deciding who will get the power. The data center build out just hit a whole new level. So again, we're talking here about CapEx. We're talking about the AI trade, trying to figure out what inning it's in. This here is showing you these data centers are still going to get built. I know there's some NIMBY stuff going on. Folks don't want it in their backyard, and that's fine, but that's not going to halt all of this. These data centers still going to get built here. I'm very curious to see what people say about data center construction and CapEx, obviously, in the earnings that are starting here this week. But I know we have a lot of back and forth sometimes, a lot of gloom and doom. The data center angle intact, whether it's the data centers themselves or some of the infrastructure required to build them. Okay, let's go back to Pro here. Here we go. And let's do some ticker time. Let's take a look at some of the stocks that you folks want to take a look at. Anne-Marie, it's great to see you here this morning. You know what? We can actually talk about that QBTS. That's on the, I actually figured we would probably talk about that in pre-market pulse. I would assume 13 is going to see that and beyond that. Here's what's going on here. D-Wave Quantum enters an agreement with AT&T to expand the use of quantum computing technology to address complex optimization challenges across the AT&T network. Now, I'm a bit skeptical early on that this is really going to kind of help the network, but I think that down the road, using some of this advanced technology to just make things better, I think is a common theme that we're going to see. Now, I don't know what quantum computing is going to do for this. It sounded like a word salad. You know what? I almost wonder what the PR is going to sound like, right? Because the headline is a bit salady. Sorry. The PR is a bit word salady. What does this actually mean, right? We've talked about the whole quantum angle and how great this is going to be, but what does this actually mean? And I think perhaps when are they actually going to see benefits from this? So AT&T expanded its relationship with D-Wave to use its quantum annealing systems for network optimization problems. So it's not a brand new customer. It's simply an expansion. The focus is on optimization problems, not general purpose computing. They reduced the specific optimization workload from 1.5 hours to less than 15 seconds. I mean, so Anne-Marie, so it sounds like that's a 240 times speed up. That to me sounds like PR bait, right? Like it sounds really good in the PR, but when it comes to the real world and in practice, you don't get those kind of results. That's one of the things I'd be a little cautious on here. No detail on the size of the problem, no details on the baseline classical method that they're improving, and no details on whether results are exact or approximate, which is kind of what I was just alluding to there. So I'm almost wondering what it's comparing against in that case, now that we're looking at that. And by the way, so D-Wave is not the same thing as IBM. Quantum annealing, which is what AT&T is using now, that specializes in routing, scheduling, and resource allocation. So it's like the combination of organizational problems. So I don't know. I mean, this sounds good, but I think we need to see a little bit more. Just kind of going through the PR here, knee-jerk reaction, going through the PR as fast as I can. I agree with it. I think that the way that you summed it up is the best so far. It's very words. I don't know what the runway is for this. I feel like maybe we will see some benefit from this, but maybe not right away. I also didn't see anything number-wise, right? Let me see if there was. No, I didn't see anything numbers-wise here. So that's another thing. That's a solid incremental win. D-Wave is carving out a nice niche as an optimization as a service. Maybe we'll see more of this with quantum computing. AT&T is experimenting with hybrid quantum and AI workflows. So I would guess we probably see more headlines about this. We'll see how it affects AT&T stock. The speed claim is interesting, but there's just not enough to claim quantum supremacy. So interesting news there. Now, on the back of this, so aside from the PR itself, D-Wave is up nicely today, up 9%. Here's what the chart looks like. We're currently sitting at 1767. So we're actually beneath. Oh, okay. So interesting. So we are popped here, but we are still beneath the 20-day. So one of the things I'd be watching for QBTS, ticker QBTS today, what do we do around the 20-day moving average? I've got that value at 1959. That's the purple line here. If we curl up and close above this, that would actually make this chart look pretty good because we have this kind of near-term double bottom. That double bottom is not much more than the previous double bottom that we saw back in April. And it looks like it's trying to turn around here. A close above the 20 might change the perception. So I would watch this today, see where it closes, but keep in mind, there wasn't a whole lot of numbers in this PR. A lot of it is like assuming things in the future. We're already up 8.5 to 9% here today. So no guarantee that this continues to absolutely rip. No guarantee at all there. Joe, by the way, is saying D-Wave has a long history of overselling the practical value of their products. We'll see. Joe, this is really smart stuff. This is exactly what we're trying to get all of our traders to do here. Recognize patterns, learn from past events, and be more profitable going forward. Sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. Joe Marsh says all these quantum stocks will be bought out. Now, that's an interesting take, too, and I think you're half right there. I think there probably will be some quantum stocks that have good technology and something that another company wants to kind of fold into what it's doing, and I think those absolutely make great takeout targets. But one of the things we've also seen, no matter what the theme is, whether it be AI, video games, Bitcoin, I mean, pick a previous theme. It doesn't matter. Not everyone gets bought out. Some companies just aren't all that great, and they don't have something that's worth another company going after. So we can't make that bet. D-Wave here, this is one of the popular quantum names. This ain't done. There's going to be plenty more for D-Wave, without a doubt. All right. Busy morning here, folks. I need a sip of tea. Also, you know what we need to do? We need to say hi to 13. And we need to get pre-market pulse underway. 13, happy Monday. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got a good recharge over the weekend. Ready to slay this week with all the earnings that we have coming up here and all the big economic news. I'm looking forward to it.
That is an absolute perfect welcome onto the show because 13, I know that you were not around when we started the show here. And one of the things I told the group is, boy, I hope you're rested and ready for this week because on top of the biggest week of earnings, we also have economic data coming this week. It's going to be busy. Sounds like you're ready to rip.
Yep, I know what the stakes are. Oh, steak. So I'm ready to go.
And he's thrown in food. 13, you on fire, buddy. You on fire. Okay, what do we want to start with here today? Do you have any individual names? Do you have a SpaceX Starship report? Do you want to look at any individual stock? Or do you just want to hit the movers? You tell me.
Sure, I could talk a little bit about SpaceX because we finally got that launch to happen after a delay that took a little bit longer than a week. So this Flight 13 went off mostly without a hitch. The only problem it had was, once again, the booster coming back in for their landing burn. Not all the engines lit, so it hit the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf a little hard. But that was an improvement over the last mission where they couldn't even get the boost back burn to start. So it's a slight improvement. They did deploy those 20 version 3 satellites. Everything worked there. And one of the biggest highlights of the launch was that when the Starship itself came back down and landed in the Indian Ocean, it didn't explode when it fell over. It remained intact, which was a first, and was pretty fantastic to see that hold up. So it was a more successful mission than Flight 12. But we are potentially looking at a catch happening with the very next flight, Flight 14, with the Starship. Maybe not the booster, since they're still having problems with reigniting those engines, but they are talking about seeing Flight 14 be a catch with the Starship, with the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still on a monthly cadence right now, so it's supposed to happen next month. It's going to be after the earnings, so.
Okay. I'm excited for those earnings. I can't wait to see what happens. At 13, I'm just going to let this cat out of the bag here now. What I would like the most is for earnings and that first unlock that the lockup expiration that we've talked about. I'd love to see the stock move down. I'd love to see it maybe freak out a little bit more people, and then start putting up some good news, or start having some of these launches just blow people away. To me, I think that would make for some real fun trading in this name. And I think that on the way down, we'd still be able to shake out some more of those weak hands and get a more reasonable price on some of that entry. Now, I don't know if it's going to go that way, but that's just kind of one of the things I'm looking at, or hoping for, I should say.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of different staggered events happening between the Q2 earnings and the Q3 earnings, where there's going to be 7% tranches unlocked of locked up shares that are going to be occurring in I think it's 7 or 5 different times that they do that. But it's so it's going to make the float a lot heavier. And there's also going to be potential share dilution with them raising capital for buying Cursor AI's parent company.
Yep.
And there may be some other companies that they're looking to pick up. So still a potential downside here with all these shares being unlocked, and maybe even getting some of those sold, and also share dilution. So, I'm not really convinced that we've seen the lows yet, although we could be. I think we're much closer than we were previously.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on SpaceX. Let's say we hit the movers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see what we got here now. All right. I have Edible Gardens at the top. I don't know if you prepared for QBTS, but we just took a quick look at that right before you got on here. If you did prepare for that and you want to go over that, absolutely, we'll do that. We can do it a little bit. But let's start with some of the other movers here. First one is going to be Edible Garden. This is one that we've traded a whole bunch of times before. Edible Garden shares are trading higher after the company announced an expansion of its fresh cut herb distribution with Walmart across the Mid-Atlantic region. So, okay, they're announcing an expansion of their herb distribution. This should be great for the company. Probably have to go through the PR to get some more details out of there, but on the surface, it seems pretty good. 21.01% of the float is shorted on this name. 1 day to cover, so high short interest, but really low days to cover, average days to cover. On average, the stock trades 482,000 shares. Today, it's done 15 million. This one does have a micro float. I have the float reading here, 638,000, under a million shares. 13, what do you think of EDBL?
Well, this micro float brought to you by the reverse split they did earlier this month. It was a 1 for 45. It finalized on July 13th, and that was the second reverse split they did this year. Looks like right now the stock's trying to push past VWAP and break to the upside here. I'll get to that in just a second. But yes, this is moving on the Walmart deal. You pointed out the very low float. This company does have revenue. It's very little cash. Although this deal should increase their revenue, but they're not profitable yet. Looking at the chart, I have 1050 marked off as a resistance level, because when I look at a larger time frame, there was an area back at that level where it was previously support, and then once it became resistance, it was back to, there you go. Yeah. A little bit higher, but a little bit higher than that. A little bit higher. There you go. Right. Whoop, you went past it. There you go. Right there. So you see where the right there, 1050.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was formerly support. When we lost it, we came back. It tried to recapture it, rejected, and now it's going to be one of the resistance levels we watch for here today. Of course, it still has to get past VWAP. And it does appear every 50 cents, there's a resistance level. So from here, we're looking at $7 support. If we get that, maybe it turns around and recaptures VWAP, and then we'll look at 750, 8, 850, 9. All those different levels on the way up have some measure of support and resistance.
Okay, really good breakdown there. EDBL, we'll see what we get. Also, one more thing, I do have a fair value gap here. Technically, it's no longer unmitigated because we had the wick dip into the fair value gap, but just be mindful of the area here. This to me looks like it's still finding resistance at the VWAP, doesn't have the strength to get through it, so probably going to test a little bit lower.
Volume's declining still. So.
Volume's also declining indeed. Okay, next here, we don't have Lion Atlas here today, so let's talk smack about his stock. This is Lion Group Holdings, ticker LGHL. This thing spiked up to 4 here on the pre-market open, and it's got the dreaded formation, the absolute loss, quick loss, broadsword, if you will, of the VWAP, and then despite attempts, no successful moves back through that VWAP. So 220, absolutely a resistance area here. This is a Singapore stock, which we've talked about before. Actually, I think we talked about this recently. I've got nothing here on the short interest. I have nothing new in terms of news here. The last piece of news was from July 23rd. This was looks like a director selling 10+%.
HRT Financial. It's that
that's
one.
That HR. That's
Yes.
It's the one. It's the one that we've talked about. Okay,
Yes.
So we talked about this kind of flipping. So hey, look at this. They bought 10% at 187. They sold at 145. Take that. Take
and they
that.
probably sold some more here this morning when it spiked. So. This might not be the one to trade. It's certainly got some movement happening here. It's low float, like 8.25 million shares, but I think there's a little bit more risk to this one when we're looking at why it's moving. We see that HRT Financial has also got their hands in this. I would say just be careful with this one. VWAP is going to be your resistance to the upside for now. If we do move past that, you have resistance at 250 up to 3. That could be the next resistance area. But again, be careful with this one. HRT Financial's got their hands in it.
Yep, indeed. Okay, what do you have any other ones on your list that you'd rather me prioritize?
I looked at ENTX and took a quick look at DFNS.
Okay, so we'll start here with DFNS and then we'll go to ENTX. It's also worth mentioning in the middle of that, BIA is trading higher. I don't know that we really need to cover this. We've covered it quite a bit. Looks like it's a China stock. Looks like it's just kind of moving again. Watch 3 for a potential breakout here. I'm sure we'll look at it today. I don't know how much there is to break down. Let's get to DFNS, which is T3 Defense. This stock spiked higher in the after hours on Friday, set a new high here in the pre-market. Tried to go back above 8, couldn't quite, but at least we were able to move above the VWAP there. Looking at the news, we had a 13D from Friday. Now, I'm not sure what's in that. I don't know if you looked through that. We can do that here in a sec, but that seems to be the catalyst that's driving this higher by 54%. As far as the short interest goes, 8.37% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. Stock is, again, a micro float, under 1 million shares, coming in at 780,000. 13. You have anything here on DFNS?
Didn't see any news today. The company does have little revenue, does have some cash. It's not profitable. Micro float of 780,000 shares. That's a result from a 1-for-25 reverse split that occurred on the 20th, so a week ago. And I didn't look into too much into this one, but I think this is possibly moving on the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. This company works closely with Israel in making in their defense business. So I think could be the reason why it's
13, guess what? I think you're exactly right. The 13D shows that one party took a large strategic stake, about 16.7% in T3 Defense, and 13, okay. Guess what? The buyer was XSE Security and Defense, which is an Israel-based company, and that looks like they're just taking more of a stake in a company that they already use. Not a simple open market buy. They received shares for exchange for 60% of a private company. That was Project 35 Ltd. There's a $1.25 million promissory note and a transfer of $2.5 million in investment obligation. So it looks like a reverse merger style asset injection strategic transaction, not just buying the stock.
There we go. So that may just be a continuation from Friday, because that's when that 13D came out, right?
Correct. That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So there may not be a lot left over from that move, because it looks like that all that excitement happened in the after hours on Friday. That's currently the high. Since then, we've been leaning on the 65 EMA on the 5-minute chart for support. And I would think that if we lose that 65 EMA, then this thing's probably going to be over for the morning, if not the day. You can also maybe draw an underside trend line.
Do I start from Friday?
Yeah, start from when it just started taking off, like
Gotcha.
right underneath there, and draw it through the pre-market low there. And we yeah. So I would also, and it kind of lines up with the 65 EMA. So when we snap this trend line to the downside, I think that's going to be your indication that this is going a lot lower.
Okay. All right. Just a couple of more things to throw on here. On the bullish side, strategic investor bringing real assets and capital. That's good. Potentially a roll-up or a defense tech platform build. That could be good. Could also be an early stage transformation. But on the bearish side, highly dilutive structure. Micro cap plus a reverse stock split is historically a risky setup. So again, just kind of keep it under your hat. Also, no details on what Project 35 actually is. And also in that PR or in that forum, they said they may also acquire more shares. So there's also a dilution risk in the future. Now, 13, ENTX was the next one that you had, right?
Yeah. Project 35 is an Israeli defense technology company specializing in unmanned aerial systems and AI-guided counter-drone solutions that was acquired by T3.
So it sounds like anti-drone, but I think I would still like to know a little bit more details there. But nonetheless, that's helpful. Yep. That's helpful. Okay, good stuff. ENTX. This stock is up 46.83%. Looks like it traded almost up to 4. It got as high as 394 here before it came back in. It did lose the VWAP, so unfortunately we got that very quick loss of the VWAP, excuse me. Here's the news. Entra Bio enters into a securities purchase agreement for oversubscribed private placement financing and expected to result in aggregate gross proceeds of $275 million. The long and short, $275 million private placement. A key look at the short interest here. Negligible, 0.78%, 1 day to cover. That shouldn't play into anything. Float on this one thicker, 42.6 million. 13, what do you think here for ENTX and the private placement?
Well, it looks like before this started, moving up on that news and then taking off. Like, let's say before we even got some of that after or the pre-market move, it was about $2, maybe a little bit higher than $2. So this private placement. I think this is like about a $5.50 injection in there into the company, which into the company's valuation, which would take it up to around 750. If we want to look at it that way. So just doing some napkin math, but that's
love it.
That's one way we can look at it. Right now, we've already had it come up to 392. If this can find some support in this $2 area, like around 275, 250, and turn around, recapture VWAP, we'll see if this can get back up to those levels. But that's what I would think we could end up seeing here with this. Is just no guarantee. A company doesn't have any revenue and it's not profitable. It's literally a biotech that eats cash. So we all know that where this cash is headed eventually. But for now, this does increase the valuation of the company.
Okay, good stuff there. ENTX, right now it actually looks like it's trying to hunt out a support level. So if we get one, maybe we'll trade it against that. 13, did you have anything else on your list that you wanted to take a look at?
I do not.
Okay, AGPU, I saw Wiss mentioning this earlier. This is X Compute. Okay, so this stock closed at just under $7, $6.85. It's an American company. We spiked up as high as 9. We've come back in, but we're near the VWAP. So although we've actually gone a little bit beneath it, we're still very close to the VWAP. Here's the news. X Compute secures a $1.5 billion 5-year dedicated AI infrastructure contract. Boy, that sounds really good. Surpassing $3 billion in contract value. Let's see if there's some more information on it before I end up breaking this down here. X Compute announces a new 5-year customer agreement with total committed contract value of over $1.5 billion to deploy NVIDIA Blackwell-based AI infrastructure cluster in the U.S. Okay, that sounds good. We're definitely going to need to read the PR, see if there's anything else in there. I'll get started on that here in a sec. 2.86% of the float shorted, 1.28 days to cover, negligible short interest, won't affect us here today at all. Float of 11.3 million, and we're more than double the average traded volume already. Stocks up 18%. 13, do you have anything right off the bat on this one?
Well, it says here it's in the healthcare equipment and supply industry. I don't know if this is one of the companies that used to be in one industry, and then they decided because of the way that the AI theme was taking off, they strategically shifted into a different industry. I think that's what happened here, but I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, you know what, 13, really quick. You think that's what happened here because this is a classic AI infrastructure build contract, which means there are big numbers, but you absolutely need to separate what's real from not real. And without time to do that, there's not going to be a whole lot. What else do you have on this?
Well, I think this just adds to the AI thing continuing. It's more compute that needs to be built out. I don't know. I saw some news this morning about NVIDIA working with OpenAI to finance it. $250 billion for a large data center in Ohio.
Yep.
You covered that this morning.
I covered that in the A block. Jim Chanos is pissed about it.
So I mean, I think that this is just more of what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of these smaller companies, continue to get that work to deploy more compute. This is a 5-year agreement. I mean, that just lines up with the whole timeline for the theme. Intel's talking 3 to 5 years for they're seeing for demand for their CPUs and XPUs.
So 13, let me just jump in here real quick, because one of the things that I had said earlier is that we want to see what's going on. When we talk about the CapEx, we want to know a little bit more what's going on here. Mm-hmm. Is the demand changing, or are things becoming more efficient? To me, one of the things that this tells us here, the demand is in fact not changing. To your point, we are still early in all of this. This is a GPU as a service deal. There are still customers out there that want it. So it does not seem like the AI trade is slowing down at all. That's what I get on the surface of this.
And the AI that build out that being monetized, as long as that continues, then the CapEx, increasing and going on, might be viewed differently. Because I know right now it's a huge concern, but if we're seeing this, this revenue, this AI from AI deployment come back, and we actually see, what these expectations getting met, that CapEx might not be so much of a concern if we are seeing the monetization happen the way that they want to.
So
Vivek news, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So really quickly, just to kind of summarize, what's positive about the deal here? Large backlog, and it's a good demand signal. 13 actually talked about that. 2026 signed contract is now greater than $3 billion. That implies strong demand for Blackwell, which has meaning beyond just this stock, right? The whole AI theme is one of the things that we're talking about. There's upfront cash, and it reduces the financing risk. So $534 million in payments are coming within 30 days. That's also helpful. And it's strategic positioning. It's pretty good. Now, here's what's not good. It's not $1.5 billion of near-term revenue. It's actually spread across 5 years. It comes to $300 million a year from this deal, and it's only recognized as clusters come online. So they actually have to do things to be able to get access to these different tranches. It's a heavy CapEx business. We don't even need to cover this. I feel like we cover this every day. This is closer to CoreWeave, Lambda, and Crusoe, not Snowflake and Datadog, and there's very real execution risk here.
Yes.
GPL supply, Blackwell is still ramping. Power and data center build out, deploy timing, and customer acceptance, all questions about this. So good and bad here on this, but again, we just kind of have to separate some of that. 13, I think you did a good job on that.
And if you look at their revenue, this would be like a big job for them. So can they pull it off? That's the other thing. I mean, like I said, what do they even do? It says that they're in healthcare or in making that stuff, but quarter after quarter, they only make several thousand dollars.
Really quick here, go Steve D. I just want to highlight this real fast. I'm from Perry, Ohio. There's a nuclear plant there and a data center being proposed. The community has been having meetings against it, and it's getting a bit heated out there. This is the whole NIMBY thing that we've been talking about. And Steve, this is definitely something that we need to watch. I still think there are workarounds and solutions, so I don't want to panic from this. But I'd be very curious to know how it unfolds in your neck of the woods. Give us the insight. Give us the lowdown, if you would, as there are big changes there. I just want to kind of keep track of that.
Yeah, I'd like to know what I have an idea of what it is, but what are the big concerns with the data center? Is it really just coming down to the electricity and water bills, like the resources that they use? Or is it like, you just don't want to see them because they're unsightly and they can be noisy? It may be all those things, but I'm just kind of curious what the main core issues are for people. And I already looked into this, and so I have an understanding of what that is. But
I think you want to confirm, right?
I'd like to know from different parts of the country, because I know a lot about what's going on in Virginia. So there's that in Georgia, but I haven't really heard a whole lot out of Ohio. So kind of want to see what they are saying. It's probably the same thing, but just want to know.
All right. Now, you guys were mentioning that there was some Vivek news here. Vivek was actually down. In fact, one of the things that I wanted to do when Jay Rice showed up is I wanted to remind folks that, hey, some of these big movers are actually not all that great. When I flipped over earlier this morning to the losers list, it was a lot of the stocks that we had talked about last week. Stack was on there. Vivek was on there. BATL was on there. There was another one that I don't see here. It looks like Capricorn just had minus 70% haircut here. Yikes. Capricorn Therapeutics shares are trading lower after the FDA said the data of the company's Duchenne cell therapy does not provide substantial evidence of effectiveness. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That's no good there. We'll see if we get a dead cat. But you guys also were mentioning Vivek had news here. Excuse me. Vivacor fulfills capital financing commitments under its previously authorized Monarch redemption and processing activities as its remediation processing center in Texas. Okay, so we've got some news here. This did take it off of the lows. Oops, I just screwed everything up. This took it off of the lows, but barely. Still looks a little heavy here, so be careful with this one. 13, I don't know if you want to cover this or if you just want to take a look at something else or a chart, but let me know.
It just seems like this is the next step in getting the remediation processing center operational, and that's what they're talking about here. So, because they announced this partnership back in June, and they were going to move the remediation processing center from construction into commissioning and position it for commercial operations. So they've now got the capital required to commission that now. I think that's what this is all about here.
Yeah.
So just moving forward doesn't mean that there's revenue right around the corner.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff, 13. Now, anything else that you want to take a look at? Can we break down a chart here so I can step away for just a sec? Does anyone have one that they want to look at, or maybe 13, you have one that you would rather look at? One of the earnings plays that's coming up here this week?
Any one you guys just let me know. I mean, I think I'm just looking for stuff to take a look at right now because I don't have anything.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Just a chart.
Roku.
Okay. Go. You know what? Roku. I was going to say, 13, this is great. I feel like this one we don't look at every day. Here's your Roku chart. It's up near the highs. 13, I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's take a look at this and see what I've got for you here. Wow. That was a drop that we had in the pre-market here. What was this about? Is there news on that? Doesn't seem like there was any news, but it just appears like there was a $2 drop and then rebound. So I'm not sure what that was regarding. Looking at the chart here, they have earnings in 10 days, and they are kind of rising into earnings here. So there may be some potential downside coming with the way that stocks trade up into this print. Looks like there could still be some more upside into that earnings print. 150 looks like a very standout level to me, especially when I look at a larger time frame. That was also resistance earlier this year in June. And when we hit that or near that area, we didn't quite get there. But when we got up to that area, this was on June 12th, we got rejected. We've been going sideways a little bit ever since, staying within that mostly within that candle's body, riding up the 20-day SMA. That's the other thing. I think if got to watch that 20-day SMA. If we lose that, I think you're going to start to see some more downside. Other SMAs, they're pretty far away. I mean, the 20-week, that's down at 122. This thing's been on a tear. I would imagine that there's a little bit more downside risk to this with it rising into earnings. Let's look and see how they've been faring over the past several quarters. So it looks like they have been doing a lot better on income. What have they been managing better? It looks like their operating income has been improving. And I don't know enough about this company, what changes they've made recently to get this their valuation to come up. But it looks like with this rise into their earnings, there could be some downside risk. But that's what I've got here. So let's say that 150 resistance level, if this does come back in, your support areas are going to be 135. I guess you could say 125. It looks like the really good support. I mean, I don't think it'll come down this far. I don't know what would I don't think there's a risk of it coming down to 100. But that does look like a good support area. I just don't think it'll get down there.
I think 110, maybe adding it to that. I think those are a lot of good areas in there. Roku has been acquired by Fox on June 15th. The two companies announced a definitive merger agreement. Okay.
What was it for then? Because if that's the case, then I would think that this kind of would hang out at one particular price if this is a definitive agreement. What are the particulars? Is it like a cash and stock deal?
I'd have to go find it. I don't have it handy here. Roku shareholders will receive 160 per share, comprised of 96 in cash and 0.9693 shares of Fox Class A common stock. So, okay. That's what you got here for Roku. Oh, we got less than a minute here till we open, folks, and we're going to have about, I think, 10 minutes here. I have an all access that I want to do with you. It's a repeat guest that you've seen before. We can take a look at the stock too, but it won't be long. Sorry, 13. What did I interrupt you?
DFNS. This is still getting support from that trend line, trying to recapture that VWAP. AGPU.
Actually, I didn't add this before 13, but I see a trend line now connecting two of these peaks that gives us a target.
AGPU lost its VWAP. That's trading lower. The NTX kind of sideways into the open here. LGHL, this one's trying to get back up to its VWAP. There's a seller on the way at 206. And EDBL still getting recapture the VWAP. It's getting support as we go into the open here.
All right, we are open, by the way. Here we go.
All right. And let's see what we get here.
First move here on the SPY is down. It's actually pushing away from the VWAP, and S&P futures moving beneath their VWAP also. So it looks like the first move was to sell that bit of a pop. We'll see how long that lasts. Apple to the highs, Palantir to the highs, Costco to the highs, Goldman Sachs to the highs, Tesla to the lows.
EDBL kind of whipping around here at the start. LGHL doing almost nothing. DFNS not able to get above VWAP yet.
I'm driving. What OTLK doing? OTLK selling off out of the open briefly.
EDBL looking good. Might go into a halt.
Yep. It should halt here at 8:30 if this holds. We'll confirm that time when that happens. SPY continuing to pull.
Remember, micro float on EDBL. So we could see this thing have a pretty good day.
Halted.
Yep.
Halted in your time 13, 9:31:02. So you'd be looking at 9:36:02 as your first possible resumption time.
Good first minute there for EDBL.
It's 13. Not even chilling. Just out here on a Monday getting it done right out of the opening print.
Livewire, seeing that, I'm looking at some of these from last week as well. Livewire did rise into the open and popped to 165. Not sure if that's going to get it back or not. LGHL, this is sinking now, coming down to the 65 EMA. DFNS, same thing, potentially losing that trend line that we drew after that rejection of the VWAP here. Still waiting to see if it loses that 65 EMA. AGPU, this thing right straight down to the 200 EMA. So far, the only really good trading vehicle right now is EDBL. V, oh man, we got some of these coming back from earlier this month. So V, that's the V with 3 E's. This thing really, really, really has a hard time with 17, doesn't it? Been trying to get above $17 all pre-market here. We do have some prints going all the way up to $18, but no closes above 17, I think here. Yeah, we might get our first one here if with this move up, but it's already getting sold into.
That went right to that resistance area and kind of sold here.
Yeah. So it looks like $17 is where sellers start stepping in here with V. Now, if we do continue to get some volume, we start to see this candle close over that that value. If we get a breakout over 18, where would this go if it does? Let's see. Where would it go?
By the way, we're 3 minutes away for the unhalt on EDBL, and on my level 2 here, I see someone trying to bid 842. I don't know how real that is, but I see it there. Sorry, 13V right through 18 there.
There we go. Looks like we're going to get some resistance around 19 and 20. When you look to the left, I do see a gap that was filled, earlier this month with all this price action that took it up to 56. It's given all that back, but there's still a demand zone that's about $11 to pretty much the top of the price here that it's trying to get out of. It's this demand zone that it came down to is giving it support. So if we start turning around and recapturing the 20s, maybe we do see this thing go back up. It could maybe goes back up into the 30s. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but
okay.
The daily price action does look like it is getting some support down here in the teens.
Okay. Jay mentioning that MU and SanDisk have gone green to red already. And indeed, here's what Micron looks like. SNDK. SPY is continuing to pull as well. That's actually down to 744 now, doing its best to hold on to 744. And the VWAP, we lost it on the S&P futures as well. So looks like there's some move down here out of the open. We'll see how long that lasts.
Zero, he had a question. When does NVTS report earnings? They report after the closing bell today. Don't have an exact time. It could be right after the closing bell or 4:30. But their conference call begins at 5 p.m. So we're going to get their earnings print prior to that. But it is after the closing bell today.
And Zero, one more thing I'd like to add. Amateur questions are allowed here. We are a diverse group with a bunch of different experience levels. You don't have to worry about asking something that might sound amateur or sound dumb. That's okay. You're in the right spot. Ask away. If we don't get to it, nothing personal, but certainly do not be afraid to ask questions. That's what we do here.
V popped, yeah, you pointed out, popped up to 1839. That came back in. Still sellers in the $17 area. That whole handle really putting the pressure on V's upside here. We also have AGPU just absolutely having a horrible day. Right out of the gate, this thing went straight down. This was let's see, there's Axe Compute. That was the one that I was like, yeah. I don't know.
Yep, but that was the one. And it looked like it looks like it was just pre-market activity there. By the way, SPY bounced now. And that happened fast, folks. I didn't get any indication for it. It just kind of happened. SPY right back through 745 to the upside now and through VWAP also.
Look at Livewire. That thing is just taken off.
That's LVWR here. Here's yes. Live here. Taken off is right.
We did have a pre-market move on Friday that took it up to 207. So we could certainly see $2 here again. We're not that far away. We're actually just kind of beelining for that right now.
So, wow, I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words there. I'm watching the SPY bounce here. That is aggressive. And you know what, Jay, now that I'm thinking about this, So interesting. So although we got a bounce in the Qs, bounce in the SPY, move to the highs on the Dow, MU and SanDisk, they're starting. They might be a little bit delayed here. I know it's barely hanging on to green. I wanted to see if there was going to be more of a bounce. These seem maybe a little relatively weak. You tell me, Jay.
Yeah, Kathy, you're right. V pushing higher is now in the 18 handle. We did get a print of 1912 before losing a little bit of height there. It's pretty spread. It's getting the volume, but it's very, very thinly spread here. I mean, right now I'm seeing a 50-cent spread, and some of this price action just put in a new high. Be very, very careful with this one. It could be, with a 19 handle in one second, and in the low 18s the next. So be very careful. And if you're trading V here today, don't chase it.
Hey, Retro, good morning, by the way. Took 7 points on Now. In 95 last week, out 102 this morning. That is registering. Good job selling into the pop over the weekend. Well done, Retro. Well done.
Livewire almost hit that exact same print from Friday's pre-market. 205 is the high now. Still not finished, it looks like.
Hey, that's an interesting first move there. I'm not going to lie. The little bit of a pull and then the bounce.
Well done, Retro. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really, really well done. Good job, guys and gals. S&P now, we really want to see this break 745.50. That to me looks like the next level to get above. Jay here saying, Ryan, semis seem to be very loose and wide. Huge moves both ways. Very hard to swing. Day trades for now. Boy, I am with you on that. Very, very difficult to swing. Not the environment that I prefer at all. But like no carry through on a lot of these.
Livewire is just insane. This thing is just a rocket right now.
Yeah, it sure is. Straight up.
Glad I said something.
Straight up out of the open there.
Okay, so let's have some fun. Do you see the price action in the regular session from Friday? The two highs in Livewire.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do, and I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
I've got it. Yeah, let me make it a little bit more accurate here. 13. I have this around 328.
Yeah, me too. Let's see what happens. I'm not in this. I'm not gonna to jump into it because I don't want to. I don't want to chase this in case it decides to pull. But let's see if it gets up to that print. I mean, doesn't look like it's stopping right now. But yeah, I feel like a pull could be coming.
By the way, SoFi, no chill either on SoFi. This straight up out of the gate. Grats to any of you that are looking at SoFi here. Cynthia, Luis, I know that there are more out there that have this one. This is a popular one for our group.
What is that? What is that regional bank ETF? I can't think of the
Carry.
That's it. I was thinking of a different K name, but yeah. Because I wanted to see what the regional banks are doing. That's when you mentioned SoFi. I was like, oh, it makes me wonder what the regional banks are looking like. KRE, this is looking for the highs from January of 2022.
Okay, guys, we're going to be really quickly, just FYI, we're going to be going over to a all access in 5 minutes. 13, we are coming back right after it. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back to it as soon as we're done. You're going to be excited too. I think this is a fitting day for this all access to happen. Just going to throw it out there. SoFi continues to pump, by the way.
Yeah, and just one thing about the KRE, it was I was looking at this. The last time we were at these highs, like the high was like January 2022. The very next month we had that Russia invasion of Ukraine. I'm not saying that we're going to get some kind of geopolitical turmoil as soon as we hit $79 again, but it's interesting that we've we're at this area here because this could represent a significant resistance level with or without a geopolitical piece of news.
Okay. Yeah, this is up towards 4. That did pop right out of the gate. Couldn't quite go past 4, though. And by the way, the SPY stopped right at 745.50. I said, got to watch what 745.50 does here. Look what happened. Stock was rejected right there. SPY, I should say, rejected right there and back lower here now.
EDBL, that unhalted, popped up to, looks like 860, and then it came back and lost VWAP. So this is halted to the downside right now. Just got to wait and see what happens after this. You have $7 as your support level, I think, beneath the VWAP here.
QBTS, this ripped too on the back of its news there. Nice little formation here too. Rip, dip, and rip. Yep. Called the SPY to a T. Now, what's going to happen at 744? We're going to retest the intraday low. Do we snap it? Do we look for lower? Probably look for what, 742 after that? Again, we'll see what happens here at 744 as we move back down. We're going to give it some time. Good to see the bot hasn't made a mess of itself within the first 10 minutes. That's always nice.
Did Apple just pass NVIDIA? Jay is asking.
Well, it went to 337 and then backed off to 335. So I can't remember what the exact numbers were there in terms of, I think, are you asking about its market cap? I can't remember what the exact numbers on that are, Jay, but Apple straight up out of the gate has pulled $2 from that high. And then QBTS, that was the other one that we were looking at, right? Let's see, Uber, a little bit of a dip and rip. Here's QBTS.
Kind of wild how we have NVIDIA down as much as it is today. But it could be this continued rejection of the 50. If we do get this to come back in some more, it's kind of looking like we may have a date with the 200-day SMA. That would have to be if it loses, I would say if it loses 200.
Okay, we'll see if NVIDIA coughs up 200.
Looks like ENTX is trying to recover. It's still beneath VWAP, but it's rising. Roku continuing higher.
Okay, 744 got snapped. It went right to 743.50. So far, it's holding that. Would not hold out on that one, though. Would still look for 742. We'll see if we get a retest of 743.50 to the downside and then a possible move lower.
That was SPY.
On SPY, sorry. I wasn't clear there. Thank you, 13.
I was thinking for a second, what is he talking about? Oh, yeah, SPY.
I got to be more clear if that's the case. If you're thinking that, got to be more clear. Got to be more clear.
For a second, I thought, is he talking about AGPU? Or EDBL?
ENTX here. It does look so, Alan. So it looks like it's kind of trying to form a support, right? Like we had this big impulse move, then we had a retracement of that move. Totally normal. What does it do next here? Can we actually test and reclaim the VWAP? I don't know. We'll see, though. That would be one. This actually looks like it's going to try and push. VWAP's up there at 315, so maybe a 3 break sends us up there.
LGHL, exactly what we thought. DFNS, trying to push through VWAP. Needs more volume, though. Dara, that is a great trade.
Which one?
Dara saying the greatest trade that they ever did was NVIDIA from 112 to 210.
Yeah, that is a good one. And that 112 to 210 happened pretty fast. That wasn't like a multi-year hold. By the way, LVWR Livewire, even more live. Here we go, 260 now, new intraday highs. So that little bit of pause right there at 240, we still went higher.
Oh, it's going to be hilarious if it hits that trend line.
It really is going to be funny if it does that. I mean, the trend lines, dude.
Yeah, V still showing signs of strength. It's still in the higher end of the $18 handle, still holding above VWAP. Just need some more volume to match this. It's starting to slow down.
Let me just refresh Pro here real quick.
EDBL, this thing unhalted, dropped with a very bearish candle. It's halting to the downside again. This is coming down to, you may have had a fair value level down here. It looks like it's coming down into that. And when we unhalt, I think there could be a risk of this hitting a 65 EMA.
Yeah, it's right on the edge, by the way. On this halt, it's right on the edge of that fair value gap. You're exactly right.
Jesus Christ! I'm sorry to use blasphemy, but look at this move here in Livewire. It's going right to the trend.
Yeah, it sure is. It looks like it's going to 3 right now.
Jeez. There's 3. God, just hit it. Just come on, guys. Just hit it. Just hit it. Almost there. Why not?
Almost there.
Almost there. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Zach, I'm waiting on the guest.
That's hilarious. All right. So while that does that thing, looking around here, looks like DFNS still unable to get above its VWAP. That VWAP from DFNS is just awful to the price action. But ENTX is pushing up to the VWAP again. We'll see if we get some expanding volume.
Look at Livewire. It's going to halt 324, just shy of that trend line. And I think depending on how you draw your line, that might count as a touch.
It's away.
And it actually did not halt. They pulled it off of the halt. So we'll see if we do get an actual test of that. Wow.
That's hilarious.
Lion saying that Jack is a good buy. That's Jack in the box. Why? What makes it a good buy, Lion? What makes Jack in the box a good buy? I'm willing to hear that.
Is Jack back? Let's see here. What is Jack in the Box the only restaurant that's in Karcher Enterprises? That's what it is, right? Carl Karcher Enterprises. Yeah, Livewire was a spin-off of from Harley Davidson.
Chop Fest over here. Yeah, I don't think we have an actual trend confirmed yet, Zach. So I think maybe waiting out some of the chop, not bad. Chris saying, awesome forecast on Livewire. Thanks so much. You're welcome.
Got it.
You're more than welcome.
It's still not done. Now it hit the trend line. There we go. By the way, I think one thing to look at here with Jack is the potential of a short squeeze. Massive short interest. It's in our days to cover parameter. This one could be a short squeeze. Yes, there you go. Jay Rice. Absolutely.
Okay. So short interest. Now, Lion was saying he liked the chart. He said, Ryan, look at the chart.
It's curling up. It's like it's bottoming and turning back up. But I think I would want to see something a little bit more fundamental happen here for a good recovery. The good thing is that unlike Wendy's, this doesn't pay a dividend. So there's no capital leaving the company every quarter, to go to pay out shareholders. Now, Livewire, this is fantastic. We traded. Okay, so now it's coming back in. That might have been the trade there, going up the trend line. I don't know what else this is going to do, but congratulations if you got that. That was great. That was great.
I'm out, Livewire. Westcap,
Nice.
Ring that register, baby. Ring that register. DFNS is pushing 7. Here, this is T3 defense. It's actually trying to go through the VWAP there at 694, Kath. Then we have that trend line above if we can collapse that.
Yeah, and I'll just look and see if there's some other levels here in Livewire, just in case. I don't know what else this is going to do today. It is approaching some resistance. If you look on a daily chart to the left, you'll see that the current price level that we're at is running into some some sellers some holders. Like it's coming up to a supply zone. So this area that we're about to enter here with Livewire could be tough to move up further into. Because
look at the trend line, dude. It's just it's Chris. Who was that? Chris Worthy. Glad you were able to take advantage of that. This is why we keep doing these. And you heard 13 chuckle as he was giving me instructions on how to put them down. But man, oh man, it just keeps working here. Marcus is asking, how's the trading bot progressing? It's progressing, but it is definitely not ready for prime time. I think there might be a little bit of a slippage issue. I need to make sure that the polling and the quoting is accurate to each market tick before we go live there. The good news is that the deployments that I'm doing to it are fixing it. And like when I identify a problem and then I deploy a fix, that problem seems fixed and it shows me more issues. So we're moving forward here. We're 1 foot in front of the other, not ready for prime time yet. No trades taken by the bot yet here today.
V hit $20 exactly and backed off. This thing continues to rise on, with the VWAP holding it up. So for me, that's going to be the indicator that this might be done for the morning, if not the day. We lose that VWAP, start trading underneath it, closing underneath it on the 5-minute chart. That's your indication because this is what's keeping the price going up right now is the support from VWAP.
Okay, really good stuff. And by the way, Chris, caught Livewire 238 out 323.
Oh, right.
That is a register ring around these parts. Let's go. Great trade there. Great trade there on the junker. And by the way, I just want to reiterate, when we talk about some of these junkers, we always talk about them being day trades, right? Mm-hmm. And we've had a number of other members here say, hey, these stocks are down 30% the next day. Just a reminder here, you can trade junk just like Chris did. Got to be nimble, got to be in, got to be out, got to not worry about not hitting the top. Guys, if you sell something at nearly $1 gain and the stock goes another 50 cents, you still won. You still won. Is Livewire a junker? I mean, I'm calling it that just for the sake of the example. Does this actually mature into something good? Maybe, but for right now, I mean, I don't think anyone's looking to invest in it, right? We're just trading something.
It's so, I guess we can give it junker status because, even though it does have revenue, it's not profitable. It loses a lot of money. So there's this risk of them needing to raise capital that can mean share dilution or devaluation in some aspects. So if it's not profitable and it needs to constantly finance to stay in business, that kind of fits our junker parameters.
Yeah, Dave, registering on Livewire. I love this here. Great trades on Livewire, V, but stuck in edible. Kathy, hey, 2 for 3. That's not bad. That's how you manage. You're adept at trading multiple ones. Mel here saying MU is a battle. Mel, here's the thing. So MU is indeed a battle, but MU actually looks better than SanDisk right now. This stock, relative weakness against the market in the pre-market, but it's actually holding on to green and trying to curl. If we contrast that to SanDisk, this stock, maybe it's trying to bounce down here. It's stock down over 5% though. So to me, Micron, although it's in a battle, looking stronger in that battle here today, at least than SanDisk early on.
I think when it comes to Micron, I'd be keeping a close eye on $900. That to me looks like the big support level right now. We have these moving average. We're trading underneath the two moving averages I'm looking at, the 20-day and the 50-day. It needs to get back above the 20-day because that was when times were much better. It was just on a constant, upward trend when it was above the 20-day SMA. Haven't been able to recapture that yet. So now we're back beneath the 50, but it looks like there is a support level at 900. So if we do get a reversal there, I think we would want to, watch for the recapture of those moving averages after we get support from 900. I think that would be bullish, and we could see a move beyond 1,000 afterwards. So that's what I'd be watching for is support at 900.
Okay. All right, 13, we're going to do this all access real quick. I'm going to put you in the back. 13 will still be in the chat. He's coming right back as soon as we're done. 13. Oh, never mind. The guest just left, so I'm not going to do that until he's back here.
Okay.
Thank you for being flexible. Sorry for keeping you on your toes.
No problem. Livewire is still holding above VWAP. So I don't know if there's going to be more in this, but I did tell you guys about the supply zone that it was trading into. So if we do get back over 3 and start to get into like that 3 to 5 area, there is a supply zone there. So it might be a tough maneuvering through that, but still could push up into that area.
SPY now breaking, looking like it's going to go test. Yeah, broke 743. So remember, 742 was one of the levels that we were looking at. We'll see if we end up getting that here. Livewire basically went to the trend line and came back in. Okay, 13, we're going to do this all access. We'll be right back.
Sound good?
All right, screen in the back. Put 13 in the back here. Here we go. Sorry about the choppiness of the camera. All right, folks, we are happy to welcome our special guest, CEO and founder of Vision Marine Technologies, Alex Mongeon. Vision Marine Technologies is a marine technology and retail group delivering premium boating experiences across internal combustion and electric segments. The ticker is VMAR on the Nasdaq, and all access starts right now. Good morning and welcome to the show, Alex. Looks like we have a bit of a technical glitch here with the camera. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you, but I don't see myself.
Okay, then I think we'll just reverse these screens, producer, and we'll do it without the camera here today. Alex, good morning. Thanks for joining us here. Let me just get right into this here. First of all, it's good to speak with you again. Vision Marine Technologies had a strong third quarter, but before we dive into the numbers, remind viewers what the company does and how it's greening the boating industry.
Yeah, Vision Marine Technology is building a vertically integrated marine platform. We combine our electric outboards to all the boat manufacturers, but we also do sales, distribution, service marina, and access direct to consumers. Our goal is to sell electric outboards to the overall market.
Okay, awesome. I just spent my entire weekend on a boat, so this is really, really good timing. You just posted a 27% sequential increase in revenue for the fiscal third quarter. How much of it came from the eMotion powertrain adoption versus retail sales?
It's a minority of revenue coming from the EV space. A majority of our revenue comes from the regular business of boat sales, gas boat sales, marina, and service, but it's increasing month by month. It's been only a year that we have retail space, but the future is pretty good, and their sales are increasing by every week. We're increasing the eMotion sales.
Okay, awesome. Now, Vision Marine recently acquired Nautical Ventures. Can you tell us about the deal and how it's impacted earnings?
It's been impacting earnings very well. Nautical Ventures transformed Vision by helping us selling direct to consumers. So we do about 2 to 3 boats per week through Nautical Ventures. And we're also educating the other OEMs how to get to the market. So it's impacting in a very positive way. And we are increasing our revenue every week by the acquisition we did.
Okay, revenue is good. Repeat revenue, better still. Recurring and repeat revenue expanded during the third quarter. Can you tell me what was behind that growth?
Yes, we've been building a stronger relationship with buyers and also with boat manufacturers. So having service, part storage, and also training centers on the water was very beneficial for Vision Marine through Nautical Venture.
Okay. And then lastly here, how should we think about margins and cash conversion as the company shifts towards a more diversified operating model and lower inventory and floor plan financing? You recently closed a $16.3 million at-the-money equity raise and inked deals to sell Florida real estate. What do these balance sheet moves mean for the company?
It's a very good sign. We've been we're closing one of the real estate deal in 48 hours and 2 more in about 15 days. We are in a very good cash position, and the floor plan has decreased by, I would say, close to 80% as we speak. So we're not paying interest anymore. We see real money coming back from the sales of our boats, and our partner is not a bank now, it's our shareholders.
Okay, awesome. Look, I got one question here from the group. I think this is a good one. Do you have any military applications, either now or maybe a potential for that in the future?
Yes, we do work with a large group. We've been working on that. We've been testing their product. It will be showcased in the upcoming weeks and announced as well. I've been working also with Coast Guards over the past 3-4 years on different projects. So, yes, we need to be part of that, and everything is going that direction. So, yes, we are.
Okay, that's phenomenal. On top of it, I appreciate you taking that. Alex, look, thanks so much for joining us today. I know we had a tech issue here with the camera, but you were loud and clear. Really good stuff. Congratulations to Vision Marine Technologies. And I have not forgot, when I am in Florida next, I will contact you. We'll give a tryout for that electric boat. I can't wait.
can't wait to have you. And maybe that boat will be autonomous once you'll be driving with us on that boat.
Okay, sounds good. That was Alex Mongeon, CEO and founder of Vision Marine Technologies. It is ticker VMAR on the Nasdaq. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to join us for another All Access. All right, let's get back. Sorry, 13. I didn't have my screen shared there because I was doing the interview. So, okay, really good stuff there. Thanks, producer. Again, folks, sorry about the technical deal here. At least we could still hear him. Does actually sound really awesome there. And PJ, thanks for the question there. I should have asked that, I think, the first time we interviewed him. That's actually really good to hear on top of that. So VMAR, interesting news there here today. Okay, 13. While I was doing that, what did I miss?
We have ENTX and then upside halt. It broke over VWAP finally after hammering it for pretty much as soon as it got up there this morning in the regular session. Now we are halted. We just unhalted, so we're going to find out what happens next. If we get above the 392 high we got in the pre-market, or if we're going to come back down and test. Looks like we could be coming back down to test 335 here as the next support area. So we'll see if that's what happens, or if we're going to push back higher and C4.
Okay, really quick, couple of other things here. EDBL, we talked about this one earlier. This is in the fair value gap area. It's in the top third of it, but it looks weak here. I would wait for this to turn around before we consider this a target. And also, the SPY broke 742 and is trying to recapture it as we speak. So we'll see what the SPY ends up doing, what kind of strength it has here today. And it looks like during that interview, my bot did have a scalp. So we are 1 for 1 here today. We hit Apple on a cloud curl. Okay, awesome. 1 for 1 on the trades here today for the bot. We are in the green. I will take it. Let's see what else we are looking at here. Nothing yet for SPY or QQQ 0 DTEs so far. Interesting. EKS, regarding Vision Marine here real quick, and I know we don't have the CEO anymore, but this is a good question, EKS. Do they ever plan on building electric boat drone? If they pivot to a military electric boat drone, I would be interested. That might be a question to save up for the next time, EKS. That was a good one. I'm sorry I couldn't ask that for you.
Looks like we are getting a push here in ENTX. There's a seller in the way at 397. So going to need some more volume to get through that.
Now, 13, let me ask you, what would you rather have here? Would you rather have a break through the pre-market high, a back test and hold of that high, or do you want to see us move comfortably through 4 and maybe kind of hold that?
I'd like to see it move through 4 and hold 4.
Okay, so the pre-market high there, that's just shy of 4, not as interesting as the round number itself. Okay, good stuff. Thank you.
Because I get the sense that there's this desire to try and prevent 4 from happening by the sellers. But if we do get that push through 4, we could see some immediate selling happen. But if 4 holds, then I think to me that's going to show that the buyers are still in control and we could continue higher.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, 13. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we have going on.
EDBL really hitting their 65 EMA. It may go lower.
Micron, by the way. So this ended up rolling over. We had talked right before the interview there. We had talked about how SanDisk was looking much weaker than Micron. Now it looks like Micron trying to catch up. Micron down 6%, SanDisk down 8+%. Excuse me, Micron only down 3%. That is a 4% move from where we were at before. I apologize. SanDisk still weaker, but both of these names not looking all that great. And you know what that means? I see several folks talking about DRAM in the chat here. That's going to be your memory ETF. Look at this. This also at a support level. It's looking to break. Sorry, 13.
No, it's VMAR. Just looking at the daily chart, there's still a bit of a gap to the downside here that it's been filling ever since it created the gap in June. Just kind of like a slow leak into filling the gap. So if we do end up filling the gap all the way, 35 cents is where the bottoming might happen. So still more than halfway, or this could still get more than cut in half before it finally bottoms. But It's the information he was giving was great. So if there's news coming of them partnering or doing something with drones or sea-based drones, I think that could get the stock moving again. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right, live wire still holding above that VWAP.
Okay, real quick, Eric asking a question I'm sure many of you are thinking or maybe even asking yourself. Any thoughts on when we see SpaceX turn around? Now, 13 kind of talked about some of the key dates earlier. 13, I don't know if you have an expectation of it turning around within those key dates, but I think one of the things that we're all kind of waiting for here, that tranche that unlocks, I think August 11th was the date that you gave, 13. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's just past their earnings, which is August 4th. I think we're pretty much waiting for that to be out of the way here before we determine if the turnaround is near or not.
Yeah, there's a 20% tranche that's going to be unlocked during their earnings period. It's like that. I think it's like that 10 days around it. But then there's going to be 5 different tranches to where they unlock 7% each tranche between Q2 and Q3 earnings. So there's going to be a lot of shares unlocked. There's probably going to be a lot of sellers happening or dropping their shares. So some will still hold on to them, but with those shares being unlocked, I think people are going to want to exit some of their position. And we also have more potential share dilution. So, it's probably going to be one of those things where maybe pick a little bit up as it drops under 100 or gets, is getting down to that area. And then, when you really want to start adding to it, it's going to be after all these share unlocks and dilution events. It's just going to be one of those things we may have to just dollar cost average down, but I don't think the lows are going to be in just yet because of all that unlocks and share dilution that could be happening.
Yeah, Joe here bringing up another good point. Musk shares don't actually unlock until next summer. We're worried about some of the other tranches, but you're right there about Elon shares.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about those shares because these are just the other 40% that are basically unlocking.
Yeah,
and by the way, LiveWire is still moving up off of the VWAP, but not able to get back above the trend line yet.
Yeah, I'll go to that here in a sec. SpaceX, you guys were mentioning this is battling with 110, and indeed it is. I still am of the opinion that we see 100 here sooner rather than later. Okay, here's LiveWire 13.
Yeah, still getting support from VWAP, trying to come back up to the trend line. It's going to need more volume than this to get back above it. But I'm not going to say it's not possible, but it's still getting that attention. But I don't think that we want to. I don't think we want to jump into this quite yet unless we see some more confirmation that the VWAP is going to hold up here. It was a great trade. I don't want anybody giving anything back. Maybe it does go higher, but the volume is concerning me at the moment.
Okay. All right, and SPY is trying to curl down here at the bottom, folks. I don't know how great this bounce is going to be, if it's good at all, but it is trying here.
And we could see SpaceX trade up next month. If their Starship catch is successful, if they do that, I certainly think that would be something that could get the stock moving. Whether or not we go back up to some of those highs we were seeing after it IPO'd, I really can't say. But that would, if we did catch Starship with the tower, that would mark a major milestone for that program, and it could lead to some upside, I would say. But I don't know if it's going to be sustained upside.
Okay. By the way, here is AGPU. This is beneath its VWAP. SPY curl got deleted right away. EKS watching MMed, which is a spinoff from MDT. Let's take a look at that real quick. Here's MMed. This chart doesn't look bad, EKS. Not at all.
Oh, it seems like that was a missed opportunity down there.
Yeah, it sure does. Now, what are you watching this for, out of curiosity? Are you already in this? Are you waiting to see if this can get back to 20? What are you looking at this for? By the way, a lot of selling still. 740 coming on SPY. We talked about that being another key level. We'll see if we bounce there. 740.
So this now I see it's a medical device company, but this is mostly just in the business of different, diabetic, drugs and delivery systems. It seems like they're a little bit more focused on insulin delivery. So I'm just kind of wondering if that's what this is, if this is what they do, or if there's more to it than that.
Someone was asking about Dash earlier. I missed if there was a reason why. I apologize. Let me know. Here's what Dash's daily chart looks like. Stock's up 5%. So it looks like it's having a good day here today. I actually have a fair value gap here that this is basically riding right now. Doesn't seem to have volume or strength to have a continuation move, though. And with us being in this kind of environment where swing trades have been less than ideal and really haven't been performing, I'd be skeptical of chasing the Dash move right now.
EKS, that does sound great, especially the long-term debt part. Maybe it is good, but I don't know enough about it. It looks like they're kind of just in the insulin delivery business. Livewire again. I'm not, the volume, like I was saying, I'm not sure that we're going to get that move just yet. It's great that it's holding above VWAP, but it doesn't have the volume that it did before, where it was taking it up to that trend line. And I think absent that, we're not going to get those big moves. And I'm starting to see more sellers stack up here in the above 3. So if volume changes, then yeah, we could see that move again. But if we don't, then we could lose VWAP. So I'd be keeping an eye on volume expansion.
Uber and Lyft are on the scanner here. Uber, it's basically flat here. Lyft is a little bit higher. Let's see what this is higher on. Lyft reports earnings in 10 days. I don't see any fresh news accounting for this Lyft move. Yeah, Nikhil, SPY keeps pulling down. We want to see what happens at 740, right? We identified 740 as a key level. Let's see what happens if we move down to that. We're still 60, 70 cents away from that.
I wonder if Lyft is kind of going through a bit of a short squeeze here. It meets the parameters.
Possible.
Yeah, I mean, the headline here today is saying a short seller warns the Uber rival could be in deep trouble. They're talking about Lyft. So I think on that headline that it's getting squeezed a little bit here.
Dash, actually, interestingly enough, all I had to do was talk about it and then stop talking about it. And we were able to get this to move. So Dash, basically, let me draw it here for you. Here's what it looks like. 182. It looks like it's trying to curl. The fair value gap area that I have is basically right here. And it had this little bit of a wick in it. So it looks like it's trying to hold this here on Dash. No position for me, but I guess worth watching there. 741 is the SPY. So I know we didn't quite test 740. We'll see if we get a battle here at 741. Still waiting out 740.
Dash 190 looks like that could be a resistance area. In addition to the 20-day SMA, you've got a lot of moving averages, several moving averages above the current price that seem like they could suppress the price even more. Maybe earnings pulls it through those, but absent some other significant news, I don't know that this is going to get back above all 3 of those moving averages, which would be the 20, the 500, and the 200-day SMAs. It looks to me like this 190 area is going to be tough for Dash.
Okay. Good. There you go. There's your upside target if it does keep moving up. That's 8 points away, but good stuff there, 13 on that area. Holding that fair value gap area.
Now, V is still above VWAP, but we just had a big move up that took it to 23.32, and the very next candle, the current candle, is engulfing all of that. Coming down to the VWAP, this, it looked like for a moment there was going to halt, but I think it's just, low volume. So this thing, V, now starting to look weak here, but still holding above VWAP.
I'm bright. Glad you were able to catch that. Sorry, it took me a bit to get to it. Thanks for the question, though. Ionic, by the way, we talked a little bit about the quantum computing names. Ionic, fair value gap here. There's a wick down to the VWAP that took you into the fair value gap area, so maybe be careful with that. If you want to say that challenged the FVG area and that's the bounce, maybe it's already happened. But just worth mentioning here on Ionic, IONQ.
AGPU, this is back up to the open of the regular session and finding resistance at the open. I don't know if this is going to turn around and come back lower, but it's currently still trading above the VWAP, but it's just trading very, very slowly. Low volume. If this is something you took at the open, you have an opportunity to, at least get out of this or, break even if this is your plan. But I don't know how much higher this is going to go up or not. The volume's not great.
EKS peeled off some of SJM. That's Smuckers, right? SJM. JM Smuckers. Yeah, I got the ticker right there. 25% on high cost shares. Long-term revision to the 5-year target at or above 130. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a register ring for peeling off 10% of your trade there at a win, at a 25% win. By the way, IONQ, we are dipping right back into that fair value gap area right here. No position for me on this. Looks like it is challenging the VWAP here. We'll see what happens. IONQ, this is a possible bounce spot. No guarantees.
Livewire losing VWAP currently. We still have 2 minutes in this candle, so it still could recapture it. But this is the concern that I was waiting for here. If we start closing underneath the VWAP, I think we come in some more. One other thing too, there was getting EKS mentioning Google. So looking at this chart, this is a nice recapture of the 200-day SMA, and that could be very bullish for upside here. I think this is definitely worth keeping an eye on here. I love the recapture. We saw the whole rest of the day.
What's the exact number of that 200 that you have?
For GOOG, it's 322.55.
Perfect.
So this is I think this is something to watch for the keep an eye on this for the day. We want to see this close above the 200-day SMA. More closes consecutively above this would be even better. But it looks like it's trying to fill this gap it created from earnings.
And real quick, if you take a look at that spot that 13 just talked about, 322.75 was the low in the pre-market where the stock turned around. So it looks like traders were already kind of looking at that 200-day. Good stuff, 13.
ENTX pushing back up towards the session highs, looking for 4. AGPU looking for 8. There's a big seller in the way at 810. V still with that engulfing candle, still above VWAP though.
SPY looking like it's trying to bottom, but still quite weak right here. I would be careful with that. I have no signals from my indicator, despite being in the trade 2 window here. BIA hit a new high. That was one of our China runners. I guess we might as well take a look at that. Thank you, IC my K. Oh, well, I have to get the ticker right. Otherwise, that ain't going to work. That did hit a new high above 450. Immediately yanked, though, so still no continuation. IONQ still flirting with its VWAP, looking like it wants to move under it. Bot is still 1 for 1 here today. Bot has not found a lot of long side trades. Gosh, that bot, it's a small, that only made $29 in profit anyway. I would almost say that that's flat.
Somebody mentioned TSN earlier.
Tyson?
This morning. Yeah. Didn't really see any news that's justifying this 3-point move here, but it's recaptured the 50 and the 200-day SMA shortly after they death crossed last week. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about what's going on here because I didn't see any new. I mean, it looks like it could be just a technical reversal. But I didn't see any news that kind of justified this gap up, and they have earnings in a week.
Yeah,
Let's
it was
see
a
if it
little bit
holds.
of a gap, but it really ran out of the open there. And to your point, I mean, it's up 6% here. I didn't see any news either on this 13. Yeah, I got nothing here. Huh.
It's running into the 20-week SMA, so there's some resistance there. That's going to be at 61.38.
Jay mentioning that JP Morgan and Apple hit new all-time highs. Cash flow and valuations matter.
Yes.
Let me ask you if that's correct. I agree with you too. Are we entering a new market era where the market participants pay more attention to things like valuation and cash flow? Do you think that that's because we kind of talked about that with the CapEx and some of these other AI names? Now you're outlining names that have good cash flow and valuations, both hitting new all-time highs here today. You think that this is kind of a shift in how the participants are going to look at things? That might depend on how these stocks trade after earnings. That's why I asked that. 13, EKS asking you to check out IP, International Paper. Sector breaking out and earnings this week. Earnings 3 days. That's going to be Thursday before the market opens.
You have a inverse head and shoulders resolution that appears to be happening.
Yeah, you do right here, right?
Mm-hmm. Like we just like the neckline. It's kind of a skewed neckline, but we just broke out of it on Friday.
740 test coming here on the SPY, folks.
Got a breakout over out of over the neckline and the 200-day SMA. It's looking like it's coming. It's getting some resistance from some consolidation earlier this year or earlier this year. Looks to me like 44 might be your next big resistance area. Let me look at a different chart.
I'm looking. Here's what I have on the daily here. The stock looks like it's running into a resistance. I just eyeballed the trend line here real quick. But it does look like 30 is some pretty significant support if it gets back down there.
I think, yeah, I'm looking at 44. I think that's the spot I'd be keeping an eye on for resistance. So if I'm looking at a monthly chart, we lost that level in October last year. We did have one attempt, or maybe 2 attempts, trying to get back up there back in January. It was rejected. And now we're coming back up here to meet the 20-month SMA after moving. We're currently above the 50 and the 200-month SMAs. I think if you look to the left, 44 really does stand out as a support and resistance level. I think 44 is a spot to watch for here. If we break over that and start closing above it, I think there's some more upside ahead.
Okay. Libertas, Bitcoin round tripped from the open indeed. So Bitcoin popped out of the open. It is right back down to flat. By the way, SPY broke 744 to the downside.
A lot of these names from this morning looking pretty weak. Edible, that's just nothing but red candles after the first 5 minutes of the opening bell. Looking for support at the 200 EMA. Livewire, this lost its 200. It's VWAP. So now this has some more downside risk. LGHL, this was already getting hammered this morning. Now it's trying to turn around and recapture its 200 EMA. We'll see if that happens. Lots of sellers on the way up, so there could be some pressure there. DFNS, this one it's still trading underneath the VWAP. It cannot get above the VWAP. Maybe this current candle does it, but the volume has just been not great. It's not enough.
Sideways.
So it's kind of sideways, just being suppressed by that VWAP there. ENTX, it's above its VWAP, but it's also got lost less volume than it had earlier this morning. So I don't know if it's going to break out or not. It looks like there's potential for it to still try and move up to 4 again, but going to need to see some more volume.
And then real quick, Westcap says, is the S&P about to roll over typical Monday? Well, so it's already kind of rolled over here, right? Now, as far as a typical Monday, I think did you mean green to red? Because it's basically flirting with unchanged right now and might go green to red here. Maybe it bounces off that green to red line. We'll see. Typical Monday. Yeah, you know what? Let's see if we get a bounce here. I'll tell you what, though. Going into earnings, I'm glad the market is not just raging surface of the sun hot going into earnings, because that generally sets up for earnings disappointments.
I mean,
And we haven't seen that.
Last week, your support was, around 738. Even though we traded beneath that, we didn't close beneath it. And that was like the last 2 days. I was following Google and Tesla's earnings that got us down here. So we were hopefully going to rebound, and we do have 4 of the Mag 7 reporting later this week. We do have the FOMC meeting that's going to give us a rate decision, and we also have GDP and PCE figures that we're going to be getting toward the end of this week. I think it's Thursday we see those numbers.
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, lots of economic data and earnings data that's still coming.
Yeah, and again, we'll continue to break those down as we get further through the week here. Ryan Milligan, great to see you, Ryan. What the hell just happened? Was having a good day to begin with. Well, what happened here is that Lion is driving, so he took the cannons of cash that he's been firing at the market and he stopped them. And so now we've just kind of drifted back in ever since the open.
Here's a thought. If you look at the SPY on the 5-minute, do you see the overnight gap that we got? What do you say? What do you say we fill this overnight gap? So we're coming down to the consolidation, that's just above 738. We fill this gap, and then the market turns around and starts trading better. What do you say that we see that today?
I would say that we've seen something similar to that before, and I would not be terribly shocked if that ends up happening. 13.
Yeah. So we should be getting it. It's coming down to that very level right now. Like this 738 and change, maybe 738, 65 ish. Somewhere around there. It's in the 738 handle. We'll see if we get that support there, as there's a lot of sideways consolidation from the after hours on Friday.
Jay saying, good point, Ryan. The setups in some of these are pretty good. Amazon, Meta, Microsoft. Apple has an exceptionally high bar. And you know what, Jay? Apple's the one that's trading higher here today. So to your point about the exceptionally high bar, we're trading up into it. Maybe we get one of these things where some of these depressed ones that have better setups end up trading well around the print, and Apple kind of reverses course on that. I don't know. NVIDIA, by the way, so sorry. SPY here, we are right at unchanged. This is going to go green to red if this continues right here. Here's NVIDIA. This looks to be leading the way down. Goodbye, 200. Sayonara.
ENTX did hit 4. We got a pop. Good volume candle here that took us up to 402. But still struggling to close above any of those other highs that were up in the same area, just shy of 4. So if we don't get in there, now there's a seller that just appeared right at $4. That's we got to chew through now. So if we can get rid of this seller here and start closing above 4, I think this ENTX might be able to put in some more some higher prints. But if we can't get past this seller, we're coming back in.
Real quick. Sorry, 13. Yeah, you were, that literally happened right as you finished. I apologize for doing that.
No, it's fine. We'll just see what happens here, but it just took out that seller. So and then there's more selling.
And there's the yank. I didn't want to walk in the middle of that one there. Real quick, Ryan said, I've continually been buying Microsoft and Amazon hoping for a good week. Well, I'll tell you what, maybe you get that with the pop. Maybe if it's a little weak ahead of the print, you actually get the good week with the pop. VIX isn't hinting to turn, says Trey. VIX has been steadily climbing here. Now, we're still beneath 20, but you're right. It's been steadily climbing higher here. Alan, I just loaded the boat on NVIDIA 199.20. Alan, you know what my next question is going to be. Is that a short-term trade? Are you looking for like a bounce play here? Are you playing this for earnings? What's the plan for the exit?
Here we are with SPY. We filled that gap, and
we did.
Coming right down to 738. So here we go, under 738, but we can turn around and hold above it before the end of the day.
Alan,
go higher.
I asked you what your plan was. You said it depends on how things go. You could be a trader, my son. That is the perfect answer for that question. Way to go. Way to go. Here's your SPY chart, by the way. Green to red, indeed.
Wow. And we are kind of getting some support at that 738 area. We'll see. Take care, Wiss.
Take care of yourself, Wiss.
Isn't it?
Yeah, shoot, we went over. We were having so much fun. We went over. Well, golly, 13. Good stuff. Good stuff there. Do you have any closing words for the group, buddy?
Well, we'll see how the rest of the day goes. If we're going to get this support down at the 738 area of SPY, we did have some fun trades here today, some wild action, and I don't think that that's going to be the only time that we see this price action this week. I think this is going to be chock full of all kinds of good movement here. So come back here tomorrow morning. We're going to have some more fun. We'll talk some more stocks with trades, some more jumpers, and we will have a great time. So until then, folks, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
13, excellent job here today. Way to kill it on a Monday. We'll see you on Happy Hour. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, 13. We're out of time here for today. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. A big thanks to Alex Mongeon from VMAR Technologies there. Thank you, producer. And, of course, most importantly, thanks for all of you for picking us to spend your morning with. Have a great rest of your Monday. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.